NASCAR Winston Cup racing today at Pocono International Raceway in the AC Sparkplug 500. Where is Pocono International Raceway? Where it's located in the northeastern portion of the state of Pennsylvania in the Pocono Mountains, south of Scranton and north of Allentown and Philadelphia. We have a couple of stories to report on here before the green flag drops. First of all, there is Larry Pearson, whose car is smoking badly, and he has pulled the car onto the apron of the racetrack. We'll see indeed if he will be able to make it around to the green flag. The second story involves Kyle Petty, and for that, let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, just moments ago, Kyle Petty's car went through inspection here in the garage area, and the car was supposed to be starting 11th on the grid. Now, they had qualified that peak unit in Pontiac in 11th spot. The NASCAR officials noticed the car seemed to be a little bit light as it came out off the scales. The car apparently lost some close to 40 pounds between the scales and the starting line. So they brought the car back in, and indeed it was light. So just in case the car didn't have any more weight loss, they decided to keep the car on the scales here until the entire field were cranked and rolling on the track. They now just let Kyle Petty pull back onto the racetrack, and he will have to start in the rear of the field as Kyle Petty got caught, I guess, a little bit with a little light car at the early part of this event. Bob?
Well, those watching their weight here would take a lesson from that number 42 car. Lost 40 pounds somewhere. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's event. On the pole for the third time this year with an event record of 157.809 miles an hour, the Folgers Exxon AC Chevrolet, driven by Ken Schrader, car 25. Jeff Bodine, his teammate, starts outside in the number 5 Levi Garrett Exxon AC Chevrolet. Going to row number 2, it's Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina in the GM Goodwrench Chevy, car number 3. And to his outside will be Alan Kulwicki, the best Ford qualifier, the Xerox Ford, car number 7, Alan from Greenfield, Wisconsin. In row number 3, it's Brett Bodine in the Motorcraft Ford. He's from Chemung, New York, not too far from Pocono, car number 15. And then Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri, second at Winston Cup points in the Kodiak Pontiac, car number 27. In the fourth row, it's Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas in the Stroll Light Ford, car number 6. And in outside row number 4 will be Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina. He drives the number 33 Skull Bandit Food Lions Oldsmobile. In the fifth row, it's Sterling Marlin from Columbia, Tennessee in the Sunoco Ultra Oldsmobile, car number 94. Starting in 10th position will be from Bartow, Florida, Rick Wilson in the number 4 Kodak Delco Remy Oldsmobile. Going to row number 6 now, originally assigned to Kyle Petty in car number 42, Randall, North Carolina, the peak unit in Pontiac. And starting in 12th position will be Morgan Shepherd in car number 75, the Valvoline Pontiac. Morgan hails from Conover, North Carolina. In the 7th row, Larry Pearson in car number 16 and Bill Elliott in number 9, the 8th row, Greg Sachs and Lake Speed. In the 9th row for today's race will be Dale Jarrett and Ricky Rudd. Row number 10, Neil Bonnet and Derek Cope. In row number 11, it's Jimmy Spencer and Terry Labonte, who won a race here about 5 weeks ago. In the 12th row, Davey Allison and Darrell Waltrip. 13th row, Richard Petty and Joe Rutman. Row 14, Ernie Irvin and Michael Waltrip. In the 15th row, it's Bobby Hillin and Jim Sauter. 16th row, Dick Trickle and Dave Marcus. Jimmy Horton and Hut Strickland in row 17, Bob Schacht and Phil Parsons in row 18. In the 19th row to be Dick Johnson and Eddie Birchwell. In the 20th row, Terry Byers and the number 52 car of Jimmy Means. We have several new car and driver combinations that you will be seeing here this afternoon as the race progresses. Here's the number 48 car, the Tom Winkle machine, that will be driven by Greg Sachs. It's that, what do you call it, orange, yellow? I'm not sure exactly what color to call it, but anyway, it's brightly colored and will be driven by Greg Sachs. In the number 62 car that you see there, the white car, sponsored by Baja Boats, that's Joe Rutman in the first time for that car this season. The number 44 car is the Bob Tullius machine that will be handled by Jim Sauter. The car number is 44. Going on back through the field now, driving is Bob Schacht, who is one of the ARCA veterans, who yesterday in competition in the ARCA race finished third. There is his number 04 Winston Cup car that he'll be competing in this afternoon. And one other car that is a little bit unfamiliar to most of you Winston Cup fans, the number 13 machine, Genesee Beer sponsorship, and the driver is Eddie Pierschwale. Let's go down to Jack LaRue for a pre-race report from pit road.
Well, Larry Pearson had qualified so well on row number 7. See this right here? An oil line split. That accounted for all the smoke. They pumped all the oil out of the car. They're replacing this line right now. They're trying to get the job done in sufficient time to make up so that he can go back out on the racetrack and take up his position at the back of the field. A real disappointed crew here, led by Larry's father, David.
Well, Larry had a good run here 5 weeks ago, finishing 9th, and he led during that event. But on pit road right now, as the field is approaching turn number 3, getting set for a start. In-car cameras today will be carried by Terry Labonte in car number 11. He, as I mentioned earlier, won the race here 5 weeks ago on this tri-oval. Also, we have an in-car camera today with Harry Gant in the number 33 Skoll machine. Harry gets set for the green flag, and number 94 Sterling Marlin also carrying an in-car camera for us today. Well, we anticipated a green flag on that time around, but Harold Kinder says one more.
Well, Larry Pearson has, Jack LaRoute's shown us that blowing oil line, and NASCAR is going to make sure that he can put oil on the racetrack. They have people out now cleaning up any oil that may be out there, because these cars going down in turn 1 side by side, there certainly doesn't need to be any oil there.
Well, let's take a very quick break here before we get the green flag. We'll be back in just a moment, and the action will be underway. Stay with us. Back at Pocono, the pace car has pulled off the racetrack, and you can see that it pulls off on the north straightaway between turns 2 and 3. And in just a few moments, we'll be getting the green flag. The pole sitter for this race is Ken Schrader, and he has a lot of money at stake. Should he win this event, and he's the only one eligible, of course, because he's the pole sitter, $106,400 from Unocal.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's quite an incentive, Bob, no doubt about that. And he said in the pre-race introduction down there that his mind has been on it since he won the pole here yesterday.
And he's got 39 guys hoping he don't win it, because it'll be carryover next week.
Here we go. The green flag is out, and the AC Spark Plug 500 is underway from Pocono International Raceway. Nice to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Settle back and enjoy the competition.
Well, they didn't get 4 or 5 wide going down the front straightaway, as we have seen them sometime in the past, Bob, and we see them start to try to single out as they go into turn 1.
And we have Schrader leading Jeff Bodine, but Larry Pearson is ahead of the field in a still smoking car as the field goes down the Long Pond straightaway, 3,055 feet in length, and settling into turn number 2, the tunnel turn. The field coming out of that corner onto the north straightaway. That is Ken Schrader in car number 25, leading Jeff Bodine in number 5. And in third position, we have Dale Earnhardt. Look at the scramble here as everyone is trying to avoid a slow car of Bill Elliott. Something is wrong with Elliott's car on the first lap. There's Dave Marcus going to the inside and getting the left side wheels off of the racetrack. Elliott is limping around the first to third turn and coming into the pits. Tough break for Bill Elliott on lap number 1. The field comes down and completes the lap with Schrader leading, and here's Elliott stopping in his pit.
I bet he thinks he has a flat tire. They are going to the right side. He felt the car when he went into turn 2. He went high on the racetrack, so he said, guys, I got a flat tire, got to come in and get it changed. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
They are changing right side tires on Bill Elliott's car. Dan Elliott whips the air hose around, and Bill is down and away. About 15 seconds of valuable time lost here. He will not lose a lap because the field had not come around yet, but a lot of valuable racetrack time lost for Bill Elliott. Unfortunate.
Well, he won't lose a lap because it takes 60 seconds to make a lap around this racetrack, and the leader's unable to get back in time to lap Bill Elliott. So all he needs right now is a caution flag. He goes to the back of the field, but on the same lap.
And here is Dale Earnhardt trying to pass Larry Pearson. The battle for third now is between Rusty Wallace in car number 27 and Earnhardt in number 3, as Schrader and Bodine continue to run first and second. But behind them, a real scramble for position. Wallace and Earnhardt, and then comes Alan Kulwicki in the 5th spot.
You see how Dale Earnhardt was on the outside. He was two abreast going in the corner with Rusty Wallace. He had to back out of the accelerator and get to the bottom of the racetrack. Right now, especially, there's no time to be going too wide into turn 1.
Trouble over in turn 2 as they head into the tunnel turn. There's one car that really started smoking bad. He's up on the outside. I think it's Morgan Shepherd in car number 75.
Well, let's go down to Jerry Punch and get the story on Bill Elliott. Jerry?
Well, gentlemen, the problem all afternoon here and back in June and again today is cut tires. Now, back in June, we had a problem with tires getting cut here because of the gravel that is around the racetrack. And what we're going to try to show you here is the right front tire that came off the Bill Elliott car. Now here's the right front tire, and this is the kind of gravel we're talking about. There's a small cut here in the tire. If you went down on the pace lap, apparently he ran over some gravel here, and the gravel cut the tire. It was leaking down, and he came in for that unscheduled stop. We'll see more and more of that throughout the afternoon. It's not a tire problem. It's actually the gravel that's on the bottom of the racetrack that the crews dig up as they go into turn 1 and 2.
Bob, let me correct myself. That was Larry Pearson, not Morgan Shepherd, that had the problem on the back stretch. So Larry Pearson coming back into the pits once again after smoke erupting from his Chattanooga QG.
It's still Ken Schrader leading Jeff Bodine. Now Rusty Wallace has moved to 3rd, and Dale Earnhardt back to 4th position. Larry Pearson does indeed pull behind the wall into the garage area. They'll be trying to make the repairs on that car and get him back out. He's one of those in contention for Rookie of the Year honors. Meanwhile, we continue to watch the action on the racetrack. Single file through turn number 3, off the corner and onto the 3,740-foot sprint stretch.
Ned Jarrett talking about that critical corner. Looks like Rusty Wallace right now, Ned, getting to that corner extremely well.
His car is working well coming off of that turn, and that's the way they try to set their race car up. So it will work down low as he's running now in turn 1, and also so he can get off of turn 3.
And there you see Kyle Petty bringing up the tail of this group of cars as he is trying to get back up into contention after having starting in last position because of a weight problem that was discovered after the weigh-in.
As we watch Kyle Petty's car, one of the guys might check. I know at 11 o'clock his crew had still not shown up. The airplane had left Charlotte, North Carolina. They didn't know where the crew was.
There's Rusty Wallace in 3rd position, right behind Jeff Bodine and the leader of the race, Ken Schrader, who has held the lead since the drop of the green flag. But look at Wallace as he goes to the inside of Bodine in turn number 3. They drag race down the front straightaway, and I believe Rusty is going to pass Jeff and go into 2nd position. But at the line, they're side by side. Let's see who gets the advantage going into turn number 1. I believe it's going to be Jeff. No, Rusty. And Dale Earnhardt comes with him.
Yeah, Earnhardt got behind him and picked up the draft there, which helped him to drive on by Jeff Bodine on straightaway. Drafting plays a big part here, particularly on the front straightaway.
Rusty Wallace, that Kodiak Pontiac, looking awfully strong early on. But, you know, he had one of the fastest cars here in June and blew a left front tire and almost knocked the fender off and did knock an oil line off, and they spent 2 or 3 laps repairing that. Otherwise, Rusty would have had a good finish.
And here's Davey Allison racing side by side with the number 88 car of Jimmy Spencer. That's Ricky Rudd behind, and Terry Labonte, who won from 23rd starting position 5 weeks ago here at Pocono. He started today's race from 22nd position.
I asked Terry this morning if his car was working as good as it did here a month ago when he won the race. He said, I can't quite tell. Said it's a little bit different. The track is a little different today. The temperature is different. He said, we'll just have to wait till the race starts. Let's go to Jerry Punch for a report on Larry Pearson.
Well, gentlemen, a tough break for the young second-generation driver. The Chattanooga Chute Buick, they had high hopes today. As we saw, they had a ruptured oil line, as Jack Arute reported earlier. And apparently, when the oil came out, the oil pressure dropped so rapidly that it may have burned the bearings in the motor. They're going to go back there and look. Ricky Pearson, the crew chief, and Larry's older brother, the younger brother, says, hey, I think we're through for the day. So a tough break for the Pearson plant here at Pocono.
Larry Pearson second in rookie points at the moment behind Dick Trickle. And now we have Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd going for position through the tunnel turn, and right behind Ricky is the 43 car of Richard Petty.
Good battle there with those 4 cars. One of the Miller cars is at the car number 8 of Bobby Hill and trying to make a pass on Richard Petty.
Hill into the inside of Richard as the cars approach turn number 3. Petty a little bit high through that 3rd corner, but managing for the moment to hang on to that position. There you see Darrell Waltrip and Jimmy Spencer still side by side. Now Waltrip getting into turn number 1 ahead of Spencer, and Waltrip at the moment is in 18th, Spencer in 19th spot.
Once again, we'll be seeing that all day. Guys trying to race the other fellows down the front straightaway and get position going in these corners. We keep saying they're one groove in the turn, and that's exactly what they are, one groove. Watch Wallace as he comes off that tunnel corner, looks on the inside of Schrader, and going to try to make a move into turn 3.
Here's the battle for the lead, and Rusty takes it quite easily. It looked as if he just stood on the gas and blew right around Ken Schrader, so Rusty Wallace is going to be credited with leading lap number 8, and Schrader a little squirrely coming off the corner.
I think he did get a little loose. I think Rusty stood on the gas, and I think Ken Schrader got off the gas a little bit and said, hey, this is no time to be out here on the outside racing coming off of this turn this early in the race, so he let him go.
It is a long race, 500 miles, 200 laps, and look at this, 4 abreast down the straightaway into corner number 1. Let's see how things shake out. Jimmy Spencer moving in behind Ricky Rudd. Bobby Hillin is right there, and so is Richard Petty.
What a can of worms that was. Wow, how in the world they all got back in single file is beyond me.
This front stretch here at Pocono, we'll be watching it throughout the afternoon, but I'll tell you what, it leads to some of the greatest competition that you can see in Winston Cup racing. Here's the number 57 car of Hut Strickland on pit road with a problem.
Put up on that car, so it looks like they're working on the ignition in the car number 57.
9 laps about to be completed with Rusty Wallace leading Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt at the AC Spark Plug 500. Back at Pocono International Raceway, and the yellow flag has come out for the first time this afternoon as Alan Kowicki has headed for the garage area. He put up a big plume of smoke from the rear end of that Ford and pulled it on into the pit area, so the track will have to be checked for oil. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, it was real simple. He had an engine expire. He decided not to come down to his pit position. He takes it behind the garage because it's all finished. You can see the engine is just blowing out the oil, and it's all over. And it looks as if Richard Petty now may have a similar problem. Under this caution, he's going to come into pit road. Actually, he doesn't have a problem. They're going to bring the car in, as well as Junior Johnson's led team, driven by Terry Labonte. Let's go back to you.
It'll be interesting to see how many drivers do come into the pits during this caution period. This will be a break for Bill Elliott, who made the unscheduled pit stop under green. Now he will be able to catch up to the field.
And another tough break for Alan Kowicki. He started off the season in fine shape, but since Charlotte, he has fallen from 4th to 12th in the point standings. There's Morgan Shepherd, who has come in and apparently pitted too early, possibly?
Yes, he did.
The flag is waving up there. The red flag at the entrance to pit road is waving, which means you can't go in the pits, and Morgan dove down in the pit road, so we'll see what happens.
Jerry, can you tell us more about that?
Well, that's exactly what happened, gentlemen. You know, I guess Morgan Shepherd, the way the track is made, turn 3, it's almost hard to see the flag that closes pit road, and Morgan was down in some traffic and veered around behind a car and came down pit road, but unfortunately, Butch Mock and Bob Rahilly, the 2 car owners, waved him on through. He will lose some valuable track position, but hopefully nothing else for pitting too early. So Morgan Shepherd back at the rear of the pack will come back in, as will most of the field next time by.
Well, the leaders had not taken the caution flag, and so until they do and until the pace car comes out, the pits are closed. That's what's happened to Morgan Shepherd. We'll be right back. Thousands of race fans on hand here this afternoon from all over the country to watch the AC Sparkplug 500 Winston Cup race from Pocono International Raceway. We are under caution for the first time this afternoon. Alan Kowicki's engine exploded, and the track crew is out there checking for oil. And we had several come in for pit stops during this caution.
In fact, just about everybody came in for a pit stop, excepting Kyle Petty. Jimmy Means had made a green flag pit stop just before the caution came out. He's in the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac number 52 behind Kyle Petty. We see on the screen there now. But Kyle Petty, it looks like if he does not make a pit stop this time around, he'll lead this race starting from the rear.
And we'll replay how it looked from Harry Gant's perspective when the engine let go on Alan Kowicki's car.
He could see that smoke to the right. There it is. And it looks like a little flame coming from the car. Alan gets it out of the groove, but the engine has expired on it. Gant goes by safely on the inside.
That flame that we see, he has broken the block or the oil pan or something when the debris inside the engine starts flying around. The oil comes out and gets on the exhaust system of the car, and that's where the flame comes from. It looks bad, and it could be bad, I guess, but it's not as severe as it looks, really and truly.
One more lap will be getting the green flag. Now, the Winston Cup guys are coming off a summer vacation, but after an 11,000-mile road trip, and look who benefited and lost because of that. Jeff Bodine was second in the points after Charlotte, currently is in 8th, and as we indicated a few moments ago, Kowicki really took a nosedive, dropping from 4th to 12th in the point standings. On the other hand, Rusty Wallace benefited, moving to second in points. Bill Elliott is up to fifth, and Ricky Rudd is up to seventh in the Winston Cup points. And there's Davey Allison on pit road.
Yeah, he's back in the pits. He made a long pit stop when he came in the first time. You can see one of the crew members inside. Apparently, they're changing the ignition on the car to their alternate system. Didn't you think that's what they're doing?
Well, all they're trying to do is duplicate Daytona. Remember, he made pit stops, the first pit stops, and they all dove in the window, and they changed the boxes. He went on one to race. It worked so well, they're going to try it again.
Sure, why not? And he isn't losing a lap here, of course, because the field is under caution, and so they're taking their time, perhaps, trying to get everything just right that may lead Davey to another win in Winston Cup racing.
Tell you what, this looks a little severe because
it does.
You know, the car is rolling now as we watch the rest of the field following the pace car across the tunnel corner.
13 laps are completed, and we will be going to green next time around. And there's Davey moving the Haviland Ford back out onto the racetrack. Kyle Petty is going to be the leader of this race when they take the green flag, and Dale Earnhardt second. Mark Martin will be shown in third, and Darrell Waltrip in fourth position. The pace car is off the track.
Darrell Waltrip was 17th going into this caution flag. His crew, led by Jeff Hammond, evidently a fantastic job because now he's fourth spot.
And Darrell and Michael Waltrip are asking for the prayers of race fans today. Their mom, Margaret Waltrip, suffered a stroke yesterday. She's resting comfortably in a hospital near her home in Owensboro, Kentucky.
And he wanted to tell Connie, Carolyn, Bobby, and his dad, Leroy, he and Michael's going to be there as soon as this race is over.
The green flag comes out on lap number 15, and we are back to competition. Kyle leads him down in the Peak Pontiac. Look at the scramble behind. Now, this is what we've been talking about. 5, 6 abreast down here as they head for corner number 1.
But they'd better sift out because, as I said, there's Schrader right following Ernie Irvin.
Well, Ken Schrader is currently in 16th position. He, of course, led the early laps, fell to second.
And they're saying that Morgan Shepherd did break the rule of not passing before you got to the start-finish line. You can see the car number 75 of Abilene Pontiac. He's slowing down. Apparently, he has been told perhaps to come in for a stop-and-go penalty.
Well, another tough break for Morgan Shepherd, who came onto pit road while they were closed, and now will possibly be black flag for jumping the start. And, of course, he is the guy who ran second to Davey Allison at the Daytona Pepsi 400 and missed the white flag and didn't make a run for the win on the last lap. Here is Kyle Petty leading Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip, and then the number 21 car of Neil Bonnet.
Look at that shot. Isn't that a great shot? You guys in the truck, that is fabulous. Down the front straightaway, 2-3 abreast.
Morgan Shepherd is in the pits for that stop-and-go penalty. He won't lose a lap. He'll be able to get back out, but he'll be like Bill Elliott. He'll be pretty far behind. And let's go down to Jack Arute, who is with Kyle Petty's crew chief.
Well, Ned Jarrett, Gary Nelson has had more than his share of problems so far here as Dale Earnhardt takes the lead away from. But going from last after your car went on an unsuspectable diet, now you're up front again. You know, how do you feel about that?
Well, you know, we broke the rules. They caught us. We paid the price.
So you're saying you actually cheated?
Yes, we cheated. We got caught. we had to pay the penalty. Started in the back. Now we're out there with hot tires and less gas than the others. We're going to hang in there the best we can and hope it didn't hurt us too bad.
Let's check in with Jerry Punch. He's got another story down there.
Well, Jack, Davey Allison came in for a lengthy stop under caution. We're with crew chief Tony Price. Tony, tell us, what were you trying to fix in the car during that caution flag? What was wrong?
Davey's radio's not working real good. He can't hear what we say.
They're trying to get radio communication, which is so very important for this triangular layout because they cannot see the cars at all once they leave turn 1 for about 2/3 of the lap. They need to be able to talk to him as much as they can, and right now they're handicapped here in the Haviland pit.
So nothing mechanical wrong with Davey Allison's car, simply trying to fix the communication system with the car. Dale Earnhardt leads now over Kyle Petty.
And we saw Derek Cope just go a lap down. Derek was in the pits with the hood up on his car, and so he just went at least a lap down, too. And look at this race.
Oh, the scramble here for position. That's Rusty Wallace making a charge. Here comes Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white number 5 car. Mark Martin is there in the blue number 6, and that's Darrell Waltrip, of course, in the orange and yellow car number 17.
Wow, they were 3 abreast going into turn 3 up there a little bit ago. And we know that don't work. Look at Schrader on the inside. Once again, down 2-3 deep on the inside, trying to get by some cars down the front straightaway.
Boy, it appears as if Wallace has a very strong car here in the early going. He took the lead rather easily from Ken Schrader a while ago and seemed to come out of a cannon to go into second position or third position now.
We talked about Bill Elliott earlier. He made an unscheduled pit stop. Of course, we said that caution helped him to catch up to the field. However, he was late coming into the pits as a result of being at the rear of the field, and he's currently running in 22nd position.
Battle for second spot. That's Wallace in 27 going inside of Kyle Petty in number 42, and Rusty has second spot. Now here comes Jeff Bodine at car number 5 to challenge for third as Dale Earnhardt in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet number 3 leads this 500-mile race. Here's Bodine looking to the inside of Kyle Petty as they cross the stripe. Let's see who wins the race to turn number 1. Bodine on the inside will have third going into the first corner.
And an unscheduled pit stop for Mark Martin in car number 6. He's got a tire problem. See the right side tire is being changed on the Stroh Light Ford. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Unscheduled stop, as you said, Ned. Right side tires on the Stroh Light Ford. Now, you got to remember, when they came in under caution a minute ago, they're one of the only teams that did not change tires. They gassed and went. It was sort of a gas and go here in the pits. They are changing now the left side tires. Steve Bill and the crew getting him off the jack. The field now motoring around. Bob?
He will be able to stay in the lead lap even though they made a 4-tire change. And we see Rusty Wallace has caught Dale Earnhardt.
And Rusty moves to the inside and takes over the lead from Dale Earnhardt. Rusty looking very, very strong here in the first 19 laps of this 200-lap race. He now has the lead as Earnhardt falls back to second, and Jeff Bodine now will begin to challenge Dale Earnhardt for that second spot. And here comes Jeff to the inside, just like he did last lap in passing Kyle Petty. And let's see if he wins the race for, yes, he does. Jeff Bodine moves into second.
Well, I was walking through the garage area this morning and talking to some of the competitors, and I'm telling you, Ned and Bob Jenkins, all they talked about was how good that 5 car was running down the straightaway. They said Bodine flying down the straightaway this race.
So he'll be one of the ones that we'll watch very closely throughout the afternoon. Jeff Bodine from not too far away from here, Chemung, New York, kind of a hometown favorite, along with his brother Brett Bodine. There are the first 3, Wallace, Bodine, and Dale Earnhardt, who is the leader in Winston Cup points with 2,171. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Now, we all saw Rusty Wallace just rocket by Dale Earnhardt a minute ago. You would think that Rusty would be quite pleased the way the car's running. Well, guess again, Rusty just radioed here to the crew and said, hey, the car's just not quite right. We need to change the stagger about a quarter of an inch more. The car will turn in the corners. But, hey, I'll live with it for now. And they sort of chuckled back on the radio.
You've got to be kidding me. The car's not right.
Well, it's as good as any other one out there. Let's put it that way.
I hope that they don't get it right. If they do, we're not going to have a race to talk about.
He's just too used to perfection. Absolute perfection.
Ricky Rudd and Rick Wilson here. Lake Speed is right behind in car number 83 as they contest positions. Rudd in the Kenny Bernstein Quaker State car. Rick Wilson in the Kodak Oldsmobile. Number 4, here comes Lake Speed closing up the gap. And this is 18th position. Lake Speed is in 18th spot.
It's Sterling Marlin that we're looking out the rear window of his car. That Dave Marcus in the car number 71 there behind him. And you can see Ricky Rudd, the green car, trying to move up on Dave Marcus.
Sterling Marlin in 14th position. You're watching live coverage of Winston Cup racing here on ESPN this Sunday afternoon. We'll be back after this message. We have Rusty Wallace's Pontiac leading Jeff Bodine's Chevy in the 23rd lap of the 200 lap AC Spark Plug 500. Richard Petty's car is being pushed behind the wall. Jerry Punch, what's the story?
Well, just moments ago, Richard came down pit road and the engine sounded awfully sour. It was sputtering and missing. They raised the hood and they slowly put the hood back down, and they will push the 7-time national champion back to the garage area, apparently the victim of an engine problem.
Richard Petty, 2 times a winner here at Pocono back in 1974, the very first Winston Cup race that was run here, and again in 1976.
Jeff Bodine, as I said a moment ago, the engine's strong, but he's not only has a strong engine, he's getting through the turns extremely well. Got through the tunnel corner well, and a moment ago, the last lap, he came off this corner like he was shot out of a rocket.
And look who's in third position. A strong run from Harry Gant.
Gant has moved up through the field, picked them off one by one, and has now moved up to third. He likes this racetrack. He drives it well. We're looking out the windshield of Harry Gant right now. You can see how far the leaders are ahead of him, but he's zeroing in on them.
Right down on the bottom of the racetrack, that left front, if it was touching the grass right now, Harry a little bit too wide there. Lost some time that time because you got to be right on the bottom of the racetrack down in 1 and 2.
Well, gentlemen, this is Harry Gant's favorite race car. This is the car they nicknamed Alf. You remember where Alf ran last? Well, it won at Darlington on ESPN. It's the car he ran second here back last month in June. As you said, he loves this race car. He's a little bit squirrely. Alf's not exactly behaving nicely on the racetrack, but Gant driving it for all it's worth right now. He wants to get back to victory lane. Let's go up pit road to Jack Carew. Jack?
Well, Jerry, I've been talking to Leo Jackson, who's been in radio contact with Harry Gant, and that's exactly what Harry's complaining about. He says the track has gotten real slick. The car tends to slip and slide just a little bit. I asked them if they would make a change during the next pit stop, and they said it's really not that bad yet. It's just part and parcel to running here at Pocono.
Great pictures from Harry Gant's in-car camera. Look at the groove he uses into turn number 1, way down to the bottom of the racetrack. There's a rather interesting story concerning the Harry Gant people in this race. His pilot, Mike Collier, has a 16-year-old daughter named Jeannie, who won the title of North Carolina High School Rodeo Queen and wanted very much to go to the Nationals in Colorado, but unfortunately money prevented that. Well, Harry Gant got together with Phil Parsons, Rick Wilson, Mike Waltrip, and Rusty Wallace. They all pitched in, and Jeannie and her mother are on their way to Colorado for the national final.
Phil Parsons donated some money for her to go out there?
Unlike his brother would ever do, right? Here's Terry Labonte, the winner here at Pocono about a month ago with the number 21 car of Neil Bonnet. And Brett Bodine there, right, in 15.
Yeah, Labonte started back in 22nd position. He's currently running in 8th. Similar to the way that he did it back here in June. He started way back in the pack and moved up through the field and did it that way again.
3 Fords all together. There we see Labonte, Neil Bonnet, and Brett Bodine.
And that's out the back glass of the Budweiser car driven by Labonte.
Now turning about 7,800 RPMs, about 8,000 right now. And let me tell you, inside that race car, it sounds like it wants to fly apart.
Sort of sounds that way from here.
Yes, it does. That's what made me think of it, as a matter of fact.
Still a good battle up front as Jeff Bodine is right on the tail of Rusty Wallace. Harry Gant running in 3rd position. Dale Earnhardt is 4th. Ken Schrader, the pole sitter, is 5th. Darrell Waltrip is in 6th position, followed by Kyle Petty, then Labonte, then Bonnet, and the number 15 car of Brett Bodine in 10th position.
Rusty Wallace that time hung right on the bottom of the racetrack. Jeff Bodine moved up just a few feet, and we could see that Rusty picked up about a half a car length going through 1 and 2.
So Rusty leads in the early going of the AC Sparkplug 500 from Pocono International Raceway. Back at Pocono International Raceway, and Jeff Bodine is making a bid for the lead. He pulls alongside Rusty Wallace, trying to take over the lead in turn number 3. Wallace to the outside and Bodine to the inside. Here they come down the long straightaway. They've got the pedal to the metal. It's Bodine inching ahead of the line. As they go into turn number 1, we'll see who has the advantage. It appears as if Jeff Bodine, yes, Bodine is now leader.
Well, that car is strong down the straightaway. Once he got up beside him, he was just able to motor right on by and get into turn 1 first.
I saw Rusty Wallace's car wiggle just a little bit as he exited turn 1. So maybe his car getting a little bit loose. They talked just a moment ago about his stagger being a quarter of an inch off maybe. Maybe it's starting to show up after 10 laps on the racetrack under green flag conditions.
Jeff Bodine had been rumored to leave the Rick Hendrick team, and he confirmed that to us on Friday. Jeff Bodine will not be back in the number 5 car. He's not sure where he's going in 1990. He says his two most likely prospects at this time are Junior Johnson and the Kenny Bernstein team.
Well, Bob, you know, I flew up here with Jeff Bodine on Daytona Beach over the weekend, and we were talking about his injured leg and a number of other things, and he did tell me, of course, that he told us that he would not be back with the Levi Garrett team next year, as the caution has come on the racetrack and the cars will be making their way to pit road. Bodine's crew ready to bring him in after the pit road has been open. But you mentioned the two options he had. A number of crews have been looking at Bodine and would like to have him. Junior Johnson is one of those. We mentioned that Terry Labonte will not be back with the car number 11 next year. Labonte will be doing something else, possibly his own operation. But Johnson would like to have Jeff Bodine, as would Kenny Bernstein. Right now, it looks like Bernstein has the inside edge for Jeff Bodine's services. Bodine has talked to Bernstein a couple of times, and he just may go over and run the Quaker State operation next year. As we all know, Ricky Rudd will be out of that car and will be moving over to a different ride. So Jeff Bodine is certainly a hot commodity right now, as we are under caution here for the struggling car of Hut Strickland. Bob?
Hut Strickland car is off of the racetrack, and we'll give you a full field rundown here after 25 laps. Now, this, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting times of the year, the silly season. Ned, did they have this when you were driving? Was it as intense as it is now?
Not as intense, and also there was not nearly as much publicity for the sport back then as there is now. Now, maybe in the small circles there was a lot of things going on, but it was not made national, didn't make the national news, you know. And, of course, there were not as many good rides back then as there are now either, so no, there was not as much shuffling around as you see now.
You ever get caught up in it, Benny?
You know, yeah, I was on Speed Week Thursday night. Remember we did the thing, and
right.
You said, who's going to do this? And I said, well, here's what I know. And I went down in the garage area, and you know what, Bob? I didn't have nothing right. Not one thing was right.
But it's fun to speculate, and it's fun to hear all the rumors as the leaders come into pit road. Now look at the action on the pit road, as just about everybody, as a matter of fact, indeed, every single car has come in. Jerry punches with Harry Gant's team.
Well, actually, I'm down in the Jeff Bodine pit as Bodine and Rusty Wallace are pitting nose to tail here down on the pit road. And it looks like all the crews, you see Walter back in there as well, but all the crews will be changing 4 tires, right side tires and then left side tires. They're trying to get cars on and off as quickly as possible. Bodine's car down the way. Rusty Wallace leads. It'll be a drag race down pit road as Dale Earnhardt is trying to get by Rusty Wallace. It will be Bodine, Earnhardt, and then Wallace back to turn 1.
Jeff is going to maintain his position in the pit area as the crew got him out first. Now here's Dale Earnhardt dropping into second position. So pit stops have been completed here with 31 laps on the board, and we'll be back with our live coverage right after this. We've talked before Winston Cup races, the importance of spotters. Well, there they are lined up on top of the grandstand watching their particular cars and telling their drivers what's going on the racetrack. Well, rarely does a driver dominate at one track the way Tim Richmond did here for a time. 2 of his 4 victories the subject of this week's Winston Cup replay. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by the First Name and Filters Purolator exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. 1986 at Pocono, and Tim Richmond is on a hot streak. His teammate Jeff Bodine battled with Tim in the early stages of this June race. Gary Nelson, Jeff's crew chief, watched from pit road. The famous tunnel turn here at Pocono is claiming more victims. Tim is one of those involved, but he's able to get it straightened out and head toward pit road. There, the Harry Hyde crew determined the damage to the car is only cosmetic. Tim is back in the hunt. Turn 3, last lap. Richmond concerned with Bodine next to him, but to the inside making a run is Ricky Rudd in the Bud Moore car. The finish too close to call. Both Rudd and Richmond head to victory lane. NASCAR rules Tim the winner. 1987, Richmond coming back from a bout with pneumonia, battling with Terry Labonte. Despite transmission problems in the early going, Tim is going for another win. Here, taking the lead from Dale Earnhardt. Tim takes the checkered flag again, his 4th Pocono victory, making him the all-time Winston Cup winner at this racetrack.
Well, some great highlights from Tim Richmond. And Tim, we know you're watching today at home, or actually in a hospital in South Florida. We know that you're recovering from a critical injury from a motorcycle accident a couple of months ago and a lengthy illness. A lot of people here wanted to say hello. Some of the old crew chiefs, Dennis Conner, Tim Brewer, and one here, Barry Dotson. Barry?
Hello, Timmy. You know where I'm at. After all, you own this place. Just want to say hello. We're all with you. We know you've been sick. You've been real sick. trying to get over an accident. We love you. My children love you. You've been an inspiration to them. We're going to try to win this race. If we do, it's for you, bud. God bless.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Another man that had a lot to do with Tim Richmond and the great runs that he had is right here, Harry Hyde. And he's doing what he's so used to doing, like he did with Tim Richmond. He gave the go signal to his driver, Bobby Hillen. Your memories of Tim Richmond, they've got to be terrific, Harry.
Well, there's nothing but good memories here about Tim Richmond. He come as near dominating this racetrack as anybody I've ever had here. And, of course, I hope wherever he's at, and I hope he's getting better, and I hope he feels good, and I hope he remembers this place like I do and remembers me like I remember him.
There's a lot of us that would echo that because it's so very important, and they're racing here at Pocono much like Tim Richmond used to do.
And from all of us here at ESPN, a get well to Tim Richmond. Now the green flag has come out, and we are back to racing on lap number 33, and that is Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white car on the left of your screen, who is leading the race. As they settle into turn number 3 once again, Dale Earnhardt in car number 3 takes second position. That's Rusty Wallace in third, then Harry Gant fourth. Fifth position is Bill Elliott, so that early stop that he had really didn't hurt anything.
No, he has, at each caution, he has picked up some time in the pits and has picked up a lot of time on the racetrack as well, so he's gotten himself back in contention.
Battle for second place involves Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace, as Rusty tried to take the spot away in turn number 1. Last lap, could not do it. They follow each other down the Long Pond straightaway. The 25 car driven by Ken Schrader. Look at the 3 abreast competition. Bodine and Michael Waltrip are right there with him. And now Wallace is taking second place from Dale Earnhardt. Wallace back to second.
Jeff Bodine, the orange-yellow number 5, still the leader. Rusty Wallace and Jeff Bodine looks like might have the 2 strongest cars. Let's don't forget about Harry Gant. He was third place just a moment ago. He's fourth now. And Bill Elliott, who in 1985 sat on the pole and won both races here at Pocono. He knows something about this racetrack.
There's Gant.
Coming single foul off of that turn 1.
Looks like you kind of go uphill when you come off that corner.
They do, but that's not all bad. It's that going downhill into turn 1. It feels just like a roller coaster when you go across the top of the hill and start down, and you know that the car will not stay on the tracks. Well, you just know the car won't stay on the racetrack.
Brett Bodine is moving nicely in that number 15 car. That's Dave Marcus in 71 and Ken Schrader in car number 25, as Schrader now makes a move on Dave Marcus in the 71 car.
Marcus will fight him every inch of the way. He's a hard racer. There's Michael Waltrip right behind him in the Country Town Lemonade car number 30. That Schrader, it looks like, is going to make the pass as you come off turn 3 and head down the straightaway. You can see the horsepower that car has.
And there's the Congo line that Jerry Punch talked about in the opening, going to the inside, then to the outside. And now Rusty Wallace has caught the leader, Jeff Bodine, and we may have a battle for the lead shaping up here.
Well, I'm sure they made an adjustment on that car number 27 of Rusty Wallace. When he made a pit stop, he said it needed just a little bit more of adjustment, like a quarter of an inch or something. Looks like they've made it. Looks like it's working for him.
Those cars go right down next to the grass, but Rusty Wallace's car just able to take it right down to the bottom. He looks on the inside of Bodine. All the people stand up, and they come down the straightaway side by side.
Ooh, at the line, they're virtually side by side. Let's see what happens once again as they move into turn number 1. Rusty Wallace goes into the lead.
He has that preferred spot, that preferred line right on the bottom of the racetrack. You have to stay down there. A guy on the outside has no choice but back off the throttle and give room.
So Rusty Wallace goes into the lead once again. And Rusty Wallace, our question to him, does this racetrack require an aggressive style of driving?
I don't think so. I mean, every racetrack requires aggressive driving. driving a car as much as you feel comfortable and driving as hard as you can possibly can without abusing equipment, without getting in wrecks. Knock on wood, I've been very, very fortunate. I haven't wiped my cars out, and I can't remember when, you know, so I learned one point. I get too aggressive in other areas, but this is a track where you want to get aggressive across the tunnel turn because you can pass there. You want to get aggressive coming off the last turn. You want to get down in the ripples. You want to touch the grass with your left front tire, and you want to do all that stuff to make that track as small as you can. Some tracks you can get away with it, some you can't.
Rusty Wallace has not had a particularly good record here at Pocono. He only has 3 top 10 finishes in 11 previous starts, and he has no wins at this racetrack, but certainly is looking good in this one.
Well, he did exactly what he was talking about. Got her down on the riffle, got those left tires down there on the grass almost when he made that pass on Jeff Bodine, and we said at the top of the show that's what they needed to do to get a good run off of that turn if you're going to pass someone, and he made it work. Bodine had worked the same situation on him earlier when he made the pass. Here's Davey Allison coming up through the pack with Lake Speed. Lake is currently running in the 12th position in the Bullseye Barbecue Sauce car, and there's Sterling Marlin right behind Davey Allison.
Davey trying awfully hard to get on the inside coming off that corner so he could get position down the front straightaway, but he can't make it. He just can't pull up on the inside. And unless you can, you got to back off and fall in line.
Well, normally that car is very strong on the straightaway. You see Dale Jarrett ahead there and Kyle Petty. They're running in 10th and 11th position. Ricky Rudd in the green car there running up there. Ricky's dropped back a few positions. He was up in 8th position, but Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett both got by him. But Davis' car might not be running up to full song. We saw them working on it a little bit. Of course, they said they was working on the radios. Here's Mark Martin coming into the picture, but he wasn't able to pass Lake Speed. Still hasn't been able to.
Well, Ned, what they've done is it was a radio problem, as Jerry Punch alluded to. I checked with Robert Yates and Tony Price, and they said they changed every element of the radio system. Wouldn't you know, it was the final piece that they changed as Harry Gant begins to make a move for 3rd position. The final thing that they checked was the culprit in the radio as we watch some great side-by-side racing for that 3rd position.
Indeed, Harry Gant to the inside and Dale Earnhardt to the outside. This time, Earnhardt holds on to that position. What a move that was.
Whoa, folks, I'm telling you now, you just almost got to be prepared for that. Oh, wow, what a move Earnhardt made, because that's scary, because if Harry Gant just touches the left rear of Dale Earnhardt's car, Earnhardt is going to spin and go up that same boilerplate we saw Jeff Bodine in.
He just turned to left and drove down into that turn. He's got a lot of confidence in that car.
He really drove it hard down in the corner.
Harry Gant, the winner at Darlington earlier this year. We'll be back in Darlington the first weekend of September.
For the Heinz Southern 500.
Here's Davey Allison to the inside of Ricky Rudd, and Mark Martin is also right there in car number 6.
Yeah, Ricky Rudd's sort of backing up a little bit now, Bob. He was up there in 8th position not too long ago, but this is what, about the 11th, 12th, and 13th they're battling for there now. A lot of these cars are a little bit late coming out of the pit. You see Dale Jarrett's car in his Pontiac there in front of Lake Speed. Jarrett made a good pit stop. Let me give a call to Doug Williams and that crew. They went in running 18th and came out of the pits running 11th, so they made a very good pit stop. We understand that the stagger is off a little bit on Ricky Rudd's car, the Quaker State Buick that we see out the windshield.
That's Sterling Marlin. Headed into the tunnel turn. Now onto the back stretch, or the north straightaway, 1,780 feet long. Here is Allison running very, very close with Lake Speed. They may have touched.
There was some contact, because I saw the rear of Lake Speed's car wiggle just a little bit, and that gives Mark Martin the room on the inside. He's up alongside Davey Allison and trying to go along up beside Lake Speed, but he pulls in the middle of the two cars.
Mark running strong in that Stroh's Light Ford. Let's go to Jack Arute, who can talk about the Ricky Rudd machine.
Well, we checked with Larry McReynolds as to the condition of the car, and You are indeed right. What happened was the cars being reported by Ricky Rudd to be very, very loose. What they're concerned about is it happened almost instantaneously, about 6 laps into this green flag condition. They thought at first that it might be a tire going down. They asked Ricky to check all the tires, kind of feel it out, and now they're just telling him to hold on for a bit. Another driver that might be trying to hold on for a bit is further up pit road, and covering the action from his pit is Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Well, Jack, this driver would like to be out there competing. Instead, he's a spectator right now. Alan Kawicki, after a great qualifying effort, you exited early here. What a tough break. What a tough month you've had.
Yeah, I thought we had things turned around. We were looking forward to starting the second half of the season off on a good note, and unfortunately, we burned a rod bearing and blew the engine up, and it looked like we had all our problems solved that had been bothering us previously, and now a new one crops up.
Alan, a number of the drivers are chasing the racetrack right now. The track is awfully slippery out there. Is the track that much different than it was a month ago?
It's a little bit looser, but, you know, we had sort of compensated for it. I could tell that yesterday, and I thought our car was real good. It was actually just a little bit tight, something that I thought we could adjust and be right there. The car was running good. It's just too bad this happened. You know, it's a short day for the Zurich Ford Thunderbird, but it was running good.
Alan Kawicki out of it as Waltrip goes around and makes a move. Bob?
And indeed, but here comes Bill Elliott battling back in the second turn. It is Elliott who is now back in 6th position. Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 has moved to 5th, and Terry Labonte is trailing in the Budweiser Ford car number 11. 5th, 6th, and 7th right here.
And here comes Elliott back on the inside. Darrell passed him coming off turn 1. Bill Elliott alongside Darrell down the front straightaway. He has position going in turn 1 this time.
Elliott back into 5th spot. So good racing back there and at several locations around the racetrack, while Rusty Wallace leads over Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Harry Gant, and Bill Elliott back in 5th position. They're 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as we are in the Pocono Mountains of northeastern Pennsylvania at Pocono International Raceway. Caution flag is out on lap number 45 as Sterling Marlin's car has apparently blown an engine, or at least has caused a great puff of smoke from the car, and now we see the pit road action beginning once again as just about everybody comes in for another stop. Jerry Punch is in pit road.
Rusty Wallace's Kodiak crew began to go to work on his car. Everybody on pit road. And the car number 27 will be a 4-tire stop. They are changing right side tires. Let's go up and check on Harry Gant's pit stop. Jack?
Well, Jerry, it's going to be 4 tires for Harry Gant as well. As you see Darrell Waltrip directly behind him. Looks like they may change only 2 tires. He's away. Let's go to Jerry.
Left side tires going on Jeff Bodine, Levi Garrett Chevrolet. They hold him up. No, they probably got it full of gas. Bodine is down and away, and it's a drag race down pit road. Rusty Wallace, Kenny Schrader, Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, all scrambling back to turn 1.
Look at the scramble coming out of the pits. Unbelievable.
I wonder how many of these guys have drag racing experience. These are the guys that anymore, that's what you got to have leaving the pits. Wow, what a scramble.
Everybody out safely. Nobody ran into anybody else, I don't believe, and they all come back out onto the racetrack, but wow.
They're all mad at each other, though, because you beat me, you son of a gun.
Now, here's the replay on why we are under caution. Sterling Marlin's number 94 car.
Apparently, the engine let go on the Sunoco Oldsmobile number 94. You can see a lot of smoke coming from the car.
Ooh, look at the flame out of the back of that automobile. We saw a bunch of smoke coming out of the rear. This is from Sterling's car.
Well, he pulls it to the inside. Apparently, he senses there's something wrong with the car. Of course, he can look at his gauges and know that something is wrong, so he gets it down on the low side of the racetrack, and you can see the smoke inside the car, too. Boy, he's having a tough time breathing clean air there.
And this is what happened when everybody had completed their pit stops and decided it was time to leave. We'll replay the scramble as the cars came out of the pits. We'll be getting to that here in just a moment. Here it is.
Watch Schrader in the maroon car pull out right in the middle of the pit road, right in front of Rusty Wallace. Rusty has up ahead of steam. He can't. Oh, and the stop man said, "Look out! Let me out of here."
And look at Rusty Wallace, who went from inside to outside. Well, let's go down to the pit area. Jeff Hammond, the crew chief on the Darrell Waltrip car.
Well, you heard us talk about the front runners all electing to go for 4 tires all the way around. One team that didn't is the Tide ride for Darrell Waltrip. Jeff Hammond, you call the shots. Why?
Well, we decided, Jackie, we've been getting really good tire wear, and the last time we stopped was only like 10 laps ago, so
You know, we needed to come in for gas, nothing else, and we wanted to make a little chassis adjustment, so we put the 2 rights on and see how that works. You know, we're still early in the race, and we're trying to learn a little bit. So, you know, it's...
Well, Kenny Schrader is still trying to learn something as well. He's on pit row. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Well, they made a tire change, Jack and Ruth, and they came back in, and apparently they have a vibration in the car, so they will go ahead and put 2 more right side tires on the car, and they will come back around and change left side tires. When you get a vibrating car, I think Benny Parsons is going to elaborate, you don't want to take any chances. Not here at Pocono. You may have cut a tire, you may have a tire going down, or you may possibly have something wrong with the car, so you come back in and you change all 4 tires. That's apparently what Schrader is doing.
The car won't roll. The car won't... Well, our track fact this week is about shock absorbers. Gary Nelson, the crew chief, on Kyle Petty's Car Explains. Track facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Handling has become a big part of Winston Cup racing. Shock absorbers are a key to handling. The Bilstein Company has come up with a way of pressurizing these shock absorbers to give a more consistent ride under severe conditions. If you notice, as I push this shock absorber up and down, there's no foaming of the fluid inside. Now watch what happens when I let the pressure out of the shock absorber. Notice the air bubbles? See how it's beginning to foam the oil? Well, what that does is causes a lot softer shock absorber and a lot rougher ride.
An explanation of shock absorbers and obtaining the proper ride in Winston Cup competition. We're just about to go back to race speeds. I guess Schrader made it out of the pits okay. Finally got the car rolling.
Yeah, he got it going and got out on the track, but it did stall momentarily with him, but I think he's caught up to the back of the field now, but he's got a long way to go to get back up towards the front.
Neil Bonnet is going to be the leader of the race as they come down to take the green flag, and he becomes our 6th leader of the afternoon. Here comes the field accelerating off of corner number 3. The green flag waves, and we're back to racing.
They're not supposed to pass until they cross that start-finish line, and you can see them start to move out once they cross that finish line.
Well, I did Beatty's job for him that time, and they were all good boys. Nobody passed anybody.
Waltrip has moved into 2nd behind Neil Bonnet. Now, our pit stop summary will show you that Bonnet came into the pits in 17th position, comes out the leader. Morgan Shepherd making a great move also in 24th out 3rd. Waltrip moved up 4 spots from 6th to 2nd, and Gant dropped from 4th to 7th.
How Neil Bonnet did that, and also how Morgan Shepherd did that, they put gas only, fuel only stop, and changed no tires. And they'd only run 10 or 15 laps, so they didn't need a full tank of fuel. It only took a few seconds to get those cars full. They was able to get back on the racetrack.
They have good track position.
Rusty Wallace asserting himself once again. They're in 3rd position.
3 abreast. Here they go.
As we watch this battle down the front straightaway, Benny Parsons, actually what Morgan Shepherd did was exactly what Darrell Waltrip did. While Waltrip changed outside tires, the right sides, the Morgan Shepherd team went, snuck to the inside and changed left side tires. They said the car's handling pretty good. They made the exchange. They were trying to gain some track position, and they both indeed did that.
There's Darrell Waltrip's progression. He started 24th, moved to 5th at the end of 20 laps, moved to 6th at the end of actually fell 1 position to 6th. Now he did have the lead, but not anymore, as Rusty Wallace has once again taken over the top spot.
We can't put the graphics on the screen fast enough, can we, Bob? He was the leader just a few seconds ago. Now he's back to 2nd place.
And Neil Bonnet, who was leading a couple of laps ago, falls back to 3rd. And now Dale Earnhardt has moved up to 4th.
Morgan Shepherd right behind him, and Jeff Bodine right behind Morgan. Harry Gant back there. Our real players are right in there, the guys that have been running up front all day. They're in the top 6 or 7. Good race behind us. We treat Terry Labonte, the red and white car on the inside. Mark Martin, the blue car. And there's
in-car camera from Terry Labonte as he is right beside Mark Martin. And just ahead is Brett Bodine in the Motorcraft Ford. Now Bodine begins to move. Jeff Bodine begins to make a move on Morgan Shepherd. And Bodine will take away the spot. Here comes Harry Gant at number 33. The number 48 car reported to be smoking and slowing down on the racetrack. That is the number 48 car driven by Greg Sachs from Mattituck, New York.
That car is sponsored by Dinner Bell, and Bob, let me tell you, they got some mighty good samples.
Great battle for third position. Dale Earnhardt working on Neil Bonnet. Here they are, three abreast once again at the line. We're inside Harry Gant's car.
The last time Dale Earnhardt dove in beside of him, took the position away. This time was not able to do that. Harry Gant far enough along that he has the position.
Notice that good luck Genie on the right side of the dashboard. That's what we talked about a few minutes ago. The 16-year-old daughter of Gant's pilot, who's on her way to Colorado for the National Rodeo Championships. Now looking out the back glass of Harry Gant's machine to Dale Earnhardt and others. Great racing going on at Pocono International Raceway. Winston Cup here on a Sunday afternoon on ESPN. We'll be right back. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Jack Arute, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Pocono International Raceway for Winston Cup racing, the AC Sparkplug 500. Harry Gant has moved into third position. Now, Rusty Wallace is the leader, Darrell Waltrip second, then comes Gant and Bodine, and here is how Harry took over the spot.
And he made it look pretty easy. He got on the inside, just drove right on by him. Jeff might have backed off a little bit once he seen that Gant had made the pass and moved into third.
Gant's got a strong car.
Yes, he does. He has a very strong car. I think he is one of the favorites at this point because he has passed some of the fastest cars on the racetrack, stayed right up there in the front, so he's going to be to contend with, no question. Here's Terry Labonte making a good move on the car number 75 with Morgan Shepherd.
That's for sixth position. Labonte has it, but Morgan battling back on the outside. Here comes Bill Elliott and Mark Martin. Elliott to the inside of Morgan Shepherd.
You know, every time we see a picture of somebody passing somebody, why is Mark Martin always in the picture? He must be running pretty good today.
Yeah, he's running good. You know, he made that unscheduled pit stop under green for 4 tires, but as a result of caution flags, he's got right back in it. Some good pit work. You know, Mark started, back in the 7th position here, and that's the farthest back that he has started all year.
He had never started outside the top 5 until today. Gant is going for second position.
Darrell don't want to give it to him, but Darrell's got to back off. Come on, there you go, Darrell. Atta boy.
Yeah, he's smarter than that. He wasn't going to stay out there that long.
Harry Gant now is in second position behind Rusty Wallace. And as we look out the back glass of Harry's car, we notice the battle for third as Bodine now takes third away from Darrell Waltrip. And Dale Earnhardt now closes in on Darrell.
So you got a lot of the new Lumina Chevrolets running right together.
They were pretty impressive in qualifying, taking the top 3 positions. Schrader, Bodine, and Earnhardt. Fastest Ford was Kowicki, who is already out of the race.
Right down on the bottom of the racetrack, as we said in the opening of the show. Got to go to the bottom down in turn 1. Now they can start going back out against the outside retaining wall. As we see Jeff Bodine right behind Harry Gant. These are the pictures out of Harry Gant's Skull Bandit.
And here is Elliott Mark Martin passing Terry Labonte in number 11.
Morgan Shepherd right behind them in the 75 car.
Here comes Shepherd in 75, and here's Davey Allison going to the inside and making a move on Morgan.
So where we saw the Chevrolets running together, we got a group of Fords running together here.
Davey Allison, the most recent winner in Winston Cup competition, although it was more than 2 weeks ago at Daytona. Coming off the 2-week break and getting ready for the second half of the 1989 Winston Cup season.
Ned Jarrett brought up a good point. Leading right now, we have a Pontiac, an Oldsmobile running second. Then we have a bunch of Chevrolets and then a bunch of Fords.
There's the leader, Rusty Wallace, and we're going to show you the interval between himself and Harry Gant. There it is. There is Harry, followed by Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip. So Rusty has a pretty healthy lead at this moment.
By Winston Cup standards, that's almost a lap lead. And Jack Arute is down in the pits.
I'm with Leo Jackson, and believe it or not, guys, Leo says you're not quite sure right now just how much Harry Gant is using the car up.
Well, no, we really don't know. He's not saying anything, you know. I think if he can, he may be running as good as he can, and he may not. We just don't know.
That's one of the things about your driver, though. Until the halfway mark, he really doesn't show his full cards, does he?
I didn't hear you.
Harry never really shows his full hand until it counts, does he?
Well, that's right. You know, we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, he's clocking and looking at the intervals just as much as you are in the booth, and they like what they see because he's beginning to close in on the leader. Now, the crew chief for the leader is with Jerry Punch. Jerry, what does he have to say?
Well, let's find out how much Rusty Wallace is actually pushing the car. Now, we understand Harry Gant may be pushing pretty hard. How much is your driver pushing the car?
Rusty said he's going to be sweet tortilla right now. We're taking it easy. We're just past quarter way. Everything's cool. He said he didn't want to take a chance. He does want to know how fast Harry's running, so we're telling him he must be getting bored. Everything's fine here, Jerry.
He mentioned Tia. That's the name of this race car, named after Barry Dotson's daughter. And, of course, Rusty says he's just taking it easy, just relaxing a little bit, not punishing the car. That may not spell real well for the rest of the field throughout the afternoon.
Well, a 50-lap average speed of 126.227 miles an hour, and that's considering all the cautions we've had. So it's a pretty fast pace here on the Pocono Tri-Oval. Rusty Wallace leading at Pocono International, 59 out of 200 laps completed. Yes, the cars are at reduced speed, and we are under another caution on this 2.5-mile tri-oval. Lap number 61 is the lap that the caution comes out. The number 62 car, one of those that had a problem. That's Joe Ruttman from Upland, California. But the major reason for the caution was Derry Cope in car number 10, as his car let out with a big puff of smoke down the straightaway right in front of the leader.
Yes, it was. Rusty Wallace, who is the white car behind Derek Cope, as we see the smoke coming from his car. Rusty had to really have some anxious thoughts and anxious moments there, even though Derek did get the car down on the inside, and then he spins, and Rusty Wallace don't know if he's coming back up on the racetrack or not.
And watch the water here. Well, he didn't quite make it to the mud puddle that he was about to run into.
Well, folks, believe me, he hit a mud puddle and threw water up all over the racetrack. And that's another cause of alarm for the guys having to go through around the turn one, because there was water on the speedway.
27 cars are on the lead lap. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
A bit of humor from Rusty Wallace. He just radioed to his crew, said, I'm coming down pit road this time. I want 4 tires and a squeegee. I said, I need a mud remover. I got mud all over the windshield, and I can't see a lick. So here he comes off the track down pit road, and all the pit boards are out waiting for the cars to come in. A squadron of Winston Cup cars coming down pit road. Rusty Wallace will lead the charge. Barry Dotson, a big puff of mud right on the front of the windshield. They will go to the right side of the car. Right side tires going on the Kodiak Pontiac. Let's see how Harry Gant's doing with Jack LaRue.
Well, Jerry, they're going to change all 4 all the way around again, as will Darrell Waltrip this time. They'll take 4 Goodyear tires on. The crew has finished the work on the right side. They're going to work on the left side. Let's check in with you at Jeff Bodine's pit.
Likewise, left side tires going up with the Jeff Bodine car. They're holding the car to get all the fuel in the car. How about it? Darrell Waltrip also pitting up toward Jack LaRue. He gets out of the way as they again drag race down pit road. And it looks like, well, you call it, Bob Jenkins.
Well, it's hard to call because here comes everybody, and they're scrambling for position once again. We can tell you that Ricky Rudd got out of the pits very, very quickly. Harry Gant also did. Here comes Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte and Morgan Shepherd. So they're going to reform and try to shake things out here to determine who's running in what position. 62 laps in the books under caution at Pocono. Still under caution. Pace car leading the field around. We've just had a series of pit stops. We are yellow because Derry Cope blew an engine and did a half spin down into the infield grass in turn number 1. Well, when you see the cars come in for a pit stop, you notice that they're refueled. When they go out, you will sometimes see a little bit of fuel flow from the race car. With more on that, here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Fuel efficiency is very important for all Winston Cup teams. And we saw this a couple of weeks ago where Mark Martin lost an opportunity to win at Daytona because he simply ran out of gas. Well, fuel efficiency is a combination of a number of factors. Not only how much fuel you burn in the car, but more importantly, how much you actually get in the car. And we've all seen pit stops where the gas man will dive over the pit wall and put that gas can right here in the fuel coupling. A lot of times, fuel will pour down the side of the car if he would happen to miss this coupling, and therefore they're losing a lot of valuable gas. Those cans only hold 11 gallons apiece. As the gas goes in, the air is forced out this vent tube here. This vent tube actually is a limiting factor. You can only put gas in as fast as you can get air out. Now, we've seen cars exit pit road after being fueled and jump off the jack, and suddenly there'll be a flow of fuel out this vent tube here. And fans at home are sitting and saying, hey, that guy just lost 1.5 gallons of gas out that little overflow tube in the back of the car. That can't be very efficient. Well, you're right. It isn't very efficient. So the teams devised a way of not losing extra fuel. They put a flapper valve, a small spring-loaded valve inside this vent tube so that when the car takes off down pit road, this valve will sling back, block off the opening, and therefore no gas will come out. Well, you say, well, if no gas comes out, then no air can come out either. So how can you fuel the car? Well, they had to figure out a way of doing that with that little flapper valve in place. What they decided to do was the catch can man. The man who catches the overflow that holds this can has a small rod welded inside his can, and he pushes the catch can inside. That rod will push down on the flapper valve, therefore keeping it open during the fueling and allowing air to come out very rapidly so that it doesn't slow the fueling of the car down. So a lot of teams have this rod inside their catch can to allow that valve to stay open. As you pull the catch can out and, of course, the rod out, the valve closes and you can go down pit road. Well, some teams have gone one step further. For example, Bill Elliott's crew have developed a system of valves inside the vent tube. As they pull the valve out, it's closed, of course, but as you push it in, you can fuel the car, and this little valve is open. As you pull it out, the valve is closed. The car can come off the jacks, go down pit road, and no gas will come out of the car. So an efficient way to fuel the car, an important part of fuel efficiency here in NASCAR.
And something to look for while we are having pit stops during a race. Now, we'll summarize what happened during the most recent pit stops. Dave Marcus really made a major move, 14th to 1st. Ricky Rudd came in 17th, is now in 2nd position. Jeff Bodine stayed in 3rd, and Rusty Wallace fell from 1st to 9th. So Marcus will be leading them as we go back to green in just a couple of more laps. We're live at Pocono International Raceway near Long Pond, Pennsylvania. NASCAR Winston Cup Racing from Pocono International Raceway, the AC Sparkplug 500. We're 64 laps into the race, and we'd like to remind you that right after our coverage of this event at 4:30 Eastern Time, we'll have the Davis Cup, USA versus West Germany from Munich, as the last time the U.S. won the Davis Cup was back in 1982. The last time they were in the finals was 1984. Follow the progress. Join us at 4:30 this afternoon Eastern Time for the U.S. and West Germany Davis Cup competition. Now, the top 5 at this point. Dave Marcus is the leader. Ricky Rudd running in 2nd. Jeff Bodine is 3rd. Dale Earnhardt 4th. And Kyle Petty is in 5th position with 65 laps completed and 1 more to green.
Of course, the reason for this caution was when Derek Cope apparently blew an engine going into turn 1. Took a while to clean it up, get his car back into the garage area, and you can see the drivers sort of working their cars back and forth to seat those tires.
And Ricky Rudd did not change any tires. We saw him just before we went on break back and forth to make sure that he didn't have a flat tire. If he did, he was going to make a pit stop then. Ricky Rudd gambling that the tires he had on was good enough to stay in front of these guys.
Several cars have shown that they're running pretty good here in the first 65 laps. Who would you say is the best at this point? I would say Wallace, certainly. Gant is running very well. Bodine is, and several others.
I think you picked out the top 3 cars that we've seen so far. Now, the racetrack is going to change, and the race is going to change, and someone else may come to the forefront. We don't know, but right now, Wallace, Gant, and Bodine has shown more strength than anyone else.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think that Darrell Waltrip might be somewhat of a sleeper. I think that he's just sort of hanging in there, not taking any kind of chances, and we'll see as time goes by if he has any more.
Let's go to Jerry Punch for a medical update.
Well, gentlemen, unfortunately, an accident on pit road a minute ago, and Stu Swartzwright, you see behind me there, one of the tire carriers for the Linrow Motorsports team, the Genesee beer car driven by Eddie Beerswell, apparently was carrying a tire and as he began to put the tire underneath the wheel well to change the tire, the jack broke on the car, and the car came down, trapping his right arm between the tire and the wheel well. So they have the arm bandaged here. They have an ice pack on it. He's awake and alert, talking to me. He's a little bit embarrassed that the accident happened. Of course, jacks will break, and they're going to go take him to the infield care center and probably take him off for a couple of x-rays. An unfortunate accident here on pit road, and the ambulance is on its way to take him to the care center. Gentlemen?
All right, it is being held up there and not being permitted to go on to pit road itself because we are just about to go back to green and racing conditions. There's Harold Kinder, upper left of your screen, displaying the green flag, and on the 67th lap, the speed pickup once again.
Well, Dave Marcus hangs on as he goes down into turn 1. Ricky Rudd not able to do anything with him.
Petty in one of the Miller High Life cars making some contact down the corner. I guess that was Hillen, wasn't it?
Real close. Bodine makes a move to the inside on Rudd. Jeff going for second position into turn number 2. He's got it.
Earnhardt back there going on the inside of Darrell Waltrip. He has 4th spot.
Waltrip back to 5th. Marcus leads.
That black car, Dale Earnhardt. The orange and white car, Darrell Waltrip. Look at Waltrip. He's going to look on the inside of Earnhardt.
Fighting back. Now watch Jeff Bodine close in on Dave Marcus for the lead. And here's Earnhardt going to the inside of Ricky Rudd for 3rd. And here comes Darrell Waltrip right behind him.
And Rusty Wallace is going to be dragging off Waltrip. I don't know. I can't keep up.
Jeff Bodine is going to go into the lead into turn 1. Dave Marcus.
And you can see those guys that didn't change tires, Ricky Rudd in particular, his car's not staying down at the bottom of the racetrack, and they're just driving on by.
Here comes Earnhardt. Right behind Marcus.
Oh, is he close? He is just literally inches behind. Oh, that's yards. Looked like inches as they came off the corner.
Ricky Rudd was second. He's losing positions rapidly as here comes Mark Martin and Davey Allison and Bill Elliott.
Yeah, Rudd's car just won't stay down on the inside. Here is Earnhardt moving around Dave Marcus, who has a similar situation. His car is not sticking as well down on the inside either. Talking about Dave Marcus, car number 71, with he doesn't have fresh rubber on it. Those that do can stay down on the inside.
Ned, we were checking on the condition of Dale Earnhardt's car. You know, he's been in the thick of things, but never really up front actually leading this event throughout most of the afternoon. I checked with Kurt Shelmerdine, and he said, basically what we're doing in the first half of this race is trying different tire combinations vis-a-vis the stagger and also setup to try and find what we think will work in the late stage of this race. You know, you heard Earnhardt say all year that he was going to try his second and third piece of the death to win the Winston Cup Championship this year. But I think if we get down to the last 100 miles here and they find a combination, they may be going for number 1 today.
And here comes Rusty Wallace looking for 3rd position. Darrell Waltrip.
And to add to what Jack Rude had said about Dale Earnhardt's car a minute ago, Jack, you know, this is one of their better race cars. This is the car we had on ESPN that totally dominated the race at Dover, Delaware. He led 456 of 500 laps. They knew the car would run well, but right now the concern they have is a car that's going by Darrell Waltrip right behind him, and that's Rusty Wallace and Waltrip side by side in turn 1. Earnhardt's got a good view of it in the rearview mirror.
Rusty Wallace goes into 3rd place. Darrell Waltrip back to 4th, and now Rusty sets his sights on Dale Earnhardt and the leader of the race, Jeff Bodine.
But all through the race, we've seen Earnhardt up front, but he always just was dropping back a few feet at a time. This time, he is not dropping back. It looks like he might be getting. There's Mark Martin going by Dave Marcus, and Harry Gant right in front of Mark Martin. Gant in the green and white 33, and there's Mark Martin in the blue Stroh's light car trying to get by Harry.
Harry Gant's in 8th, and Mark Martin is 9th. Davey Allison is right behind Mark Martin in 10th position.
You can hear Gant as he decelerated going into the turn and then accelerating coming off of the turn 3.
Where are the major braking points? Into turn 1, I assume. You got to really climb on them. Here's 3 of First Racing as Harry Gant and Kyle Petty.
Well, they better get on their brakes going into that.
You're right there. Right then was a heavy braking spot because I'm telling you, somebody had to find some brakes in a hurry.
Do you brake also going into 2 and 3?
In 2 and 3, but turn 1 is the most critical place.
You're going so much faster when you get to the turn. Here's Neil Bonney making a move in car number 21. Going down on the inside, passing 2 cars, Lake Speed and car number 83 and the green car number 26 of Ricky Rudd. Let's go to the pits and Jack Root.
Ned, talking to Larry McReynolds here, we think we may have discovered one of the reasons why Ricky Rudd is backing up. Larry, you didn't change tires that last time.
No, you know, we've been changing tires all day, and we hadn't been going forward by doing it, so we said, well, we just roll the dice one time. We'd only run about 12 laps on our tires. Stay out there and see if we can't better ourselves track position-wise, but that wasn't a hot ticket, so hopefully we'll get a caution here in a minute. We ain't got the chassis going our way. Maybe we'll just keep fine-tuning on it today and find it, just try to survive this thing.
Well, he's mired back in 22nd place right now, but you know, that's an element about the racing here in Winston Cup division that we very seldom really talk about or concentrate on. It not only the drivers giving it their all, but the mental game down here on pit road when the crew chiefs have to work with their drivers and try and come up with the winning combination.
Well, Ricky Rudd's best Pocono finish was second back in 1986 in this race. He, of course, was the winner earlier this year on the road course at Sears Point, and you can bet that he's going to be anxiously awaiting another road course race at Watkins Glen. That'll be coming up in the early part of August. Ricky, one of the best race drivers on a road course among the Winston Cup competitors. Now we're seeing Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace is to the inside in the white and green car number 27, making a challenge for second position on Earnhardt.
He's got it. He's got the position.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, let's see now.
He's got the preferred line.
See, I told you. I knew it all the time.
You knew it all the time.
Yeah,
right. Rusty is second, and Dale Earnhardt is third. Jeff Bodine with about a 6 or 7 car lengths advantage in the lead. Now here's Bill Elliott, Ken Schrader moving up. Davey Allison is who they're moving up on.
That's for 9th spot, I believe.
Allison in 9th. Ken Schrader, car number 25, the pole sitter, going for over $100,000 if he wins.
And there's a car in trouble off. There's car number 80, Jimmy Horton. Really has hit the wall hard.
The left rear of that car is torn away as Jimmy Horton has had hard contact with the wall exiting number 2. The yellow flag is out.
I see some movement inside the car.
Jimmy won a race last night somewhere up in this part of the country. Took off, he raced yesterday in the ARCA race. Didn't do too well in that one. Had a problem early with gearing and then won the short tracks and won a race. In a very unfortunate situation here. That car is demolished.
Boy, he hit it hard. You can see it's banged up on all 4 corners, and the safety crew right there concerned with the condition of Jimmy Horton. As you can see, the debris that's scattered all over the racetrack.
That was Flemington, New Jersey. Someone tells me that Jimmy won the race last night. And I tell you, you'll have to admit, folks, that NASCAR is doing a much better job getting the safety equipment to these fellows once they have a problem, because used to, it just seemed like, oh, there's Jimmy walking away, just walking away from the car.
That's good news. Good to see that.
It sure is. Jimmy Horton climbs out of the car and is in good shape walking to the ambulance. And from the looks of the car, that is very, very good news, because he obviously had very, very hard contact with that boilerplate wall exiting corner number 2. So Jimmy Horton will take a ride to the infield medical center and be checked over, but things appear to be in very, very good condition. Jimmy Horton from Hamilton, New Jersey, in the Miles Concrete Pontiac.
This caution flag was a break for Ricky Rudd. We kept talking about did not change tires, was all the way back to about 25th spot. The caution flag is out. Now he can come in and change 4 tires just like everyone else is coming in and changing 4 tires.
Yeah, they're all going to do that. Well, Jerry Punch is down where Jeff Bodine is coming in. Jerry?
Well, Jeff Bodine brings the Levi Garrett Chevrolet to a halt, and Waddell Wilson and the crew will go to work cleaning the windshield and changing those right side tires. Remember, Bodine has that broken left leg. Has a lot of trouble getting the car off pit road, clutching and jacking. Let's go up to Jack Root and Dale Earnhardt's pit. Jack?
Well, Jerry, they've completed the work on the right side, and Earnhardt's flying aces have gone to work on the lefts now. They've just about completed the work there. How about your end?
Well, Bodine's car moving away, as is Rusty Wallace's car, and they will drag race again down pit road. It looks like it will be Jeff Bodine, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, and a bevy of cars now down toward turn one. There's a lot of smoke as cars trying to make their way back onto the racetrack.
Well, Jerry, taking a look at what's happening with Ricky Rudd, what a great break this was for him. They've been able to take on 4 badly needed new tires. They're a little late getting their work done, but they're off and away. A good break for Larry McReynolds and the Quaker State team.
And that car should show some speed now, as it was dropping back badly because of the worn tires. But now with 4 new Goodyears on, he should be in much, much better condition. Dale Jarrett follows Ricky Rudd out of the pit. We understand that Jimmy Horton's, his confrontation with the wall has knocked a hole in the boilerplate, and it could be that we will have to, there's the hole, could be that we're going to have to be cautioned here for quite a while they replace this barrier. Now, that's the same thing that happened to Jeff Bodine when he hit the first turn wall 5 weeks ago here at Pocono. He also made a hole in the first turn wall, and now Jimmy Horton has created one in turn number 2.
There is a welder, a portable welder, taking some more boilerplate over there. They're going to have to weld the wall back in place.
I guess they'll probably just take another piece of boilerplate material and put it up against the wall and weld it fast and
you don't often see this type of material used as a retaining wall, but it is here at Pocono. Most of the other barriers are made of concrete or steel, but the boilerplate is used here at Pocono. So we're going to have to repair this hole in the wall before we can go back to racing conditions, and we'll be back with our coverage after this. From the mountains of northeastern Pennsylvania, Pocono International Raceway, Winston Cup racing on this Sunday afternoon, the AC Spark Plug 500. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by new Right Guard Sport Stick from Gillette, antiperspirant and deodorant. Anything less would be uncivilized. By the First Name in Filters, Purolator, exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. And by Dodge Cars and Trucks. On the street or off the road, it's the new spirit of Dodge. Under caution at Pocono International Raceway because of an accident involving Jimmy Horton, and they're going to have to repair the wall before we can go back to green. Now, Bobby Hillen is the leader of this race, and this is the first time that Hillen has ever led at Pocono. His progression, 29th at the start, 16th at the end of 40 laps. Running 7th at the end of 60, and here on lap number 75, he finds himself in the lead, but we again are under the caution. We've had 11 lead changes among 8 different drivers so far, and we're not quite halfway through this event.
Jenkins, we got big problems now.
Oh, not quite as bad as a deer, but it's a
rabbit.
Yeah.
Some drivers were reporting a rabbit on the racetrack.
We talked earlier about the silly season, where some of the guys are going to go for next year. We got sampling of several. First of all, Jeff Bodine.
Well, I guess the only solid thing is that I won't be back with the Levi Garrett team next year. And right now I'm trying to decide between a couple teams where to go. They're trying to make a decision what driver they want. And so we're sad that we won't be driving the Levi Garrett car again. With Rick Henrick, been a long relationship, but you know we're going our separate ways on friendly terms. It isn't you're fired or I quit. It's just, we just decided we needed to make a change, and so that's the way that is.
There are strong rumors that Terry Labonte might be forming his own race team.
I read about that, yeah.
But that's about it.
There's a lot of rumors, you know, and you know, in this deal here, you believe about. You can only believe about 10% of what you read, and you know, 3/4 of what you hear isn't true, and I don't even believe half of what I see. So I don't know. You know, that's a possibility. We're building a facility, and you know, somewhere down the road that could be a possibility. I really can't say right now that's what'll happen, but.
Now, when we walked up here, you were talking to Junior Johnson. We'd have to assume that maybe that could be one of the possibilities for you.
Well, I think everyone knows that Terry Labonte's leaving that team. So, yeah, Junior's looking for a driver, and Budweiser's looking for a driver.
And so that is one option. The Kenny Bernstein car is another option. I like to be able to tell everybody right today what car I'm going to be in, and I just can't do that right at the moment.
I'm in the best shape I ever been in. Took me 2 years to get to where I am. I ain't about to drop the ball now, so I'm pretty happy, and the crew's working good, and the cars are running good, and we're going to win the Winston Cup Championship this year and just go from there.
Ricky, Kenny Bernstein has said publicly that you've told him that you would not be with them in 1990.
Well, you know, that's right. I'm not going to be back with these guys. You know, they've given 110%. They've worked real hard. But I felt it was just time to move on. And as far as where I'm going next year, we really haven't signed any contracts. Nothing's in writing as of yet. But I would say in the next couple of weeks, probably we'll have an announcement as far as my plans for the 1990 season.
Rumors are floating around about 1990. Rumors are that you've met with Roger Penske.
Strictly rumors. Strictly rumors, you know. I can tell you one thing. I am so happy with my team. I love this team a lot. I don't know if I can say the same for the car owner. He's up and down. I'm up and down. But this team is never up and down. This team is rock solid. This team is total Winston Cup championship caliber. And as long as I stick my head to this grindstone and forget about all this crap we've been talking about earlier, I can win this championship. And we had a meeting last night and said, guys, there's nothing going to stand in our way. We're going to pretend we're a D9 cat and drive right through it. And that's what I want to do. I want to win this thing.
Under caution here at Pocono for two reasons. They're repairing the wall, and we also have a jackrabbit on the racetrack right under the Eagle. That's quite a shot there, isn't it?
It looks like the Eagle's ready to land on top of the rabbit and take him away, and NASCAR is hoping it would.
Well, just to follow up on some of the comments now.
You see, if the rabbit would just go around to turn 3, there's a hole in the wall. He could get out.
That's right.
He is a silly rabbit.
There's the hole that they're trying to repair. Well, just to follow up a little bit on the comments there from the various drivers, it's an interesting time of year, and they are right. There's a lot of rumors floating around, and you really can't put anything in the book at this point, except that Ricky Rudd will not be back with Kenny Bernstein.
Well, that's the point that I was trying to make the other night at Speed Week, is that I said that, you know, some guys are going to be doing that. And again, it is silly season, and you hear some of the weirdest things in the world. I don't believe anything that I... Oh, right between his legs.
Way to go, Rabbit.
Oh, that's an arrow. That's an arrow on that guy. He didn't get his glove down to the ground, did he? I'm being upstaged by a rabbit. You
sure
notice that?
Well, we could continue here watching the rabbit, but while we have the opportunity, we're going to take some more commercial breaks and get those out of the way, so we'll be back with some action when it resumes. We're back at Pocono, where one of our problems has been corrected. There is what was a hole in the wall that has been repaired now with the help of a welder and some new boilerplate.
Bob, look at that spot right. That's where the tire hit that wall and stopped. Now, when they do that, that's an awfully hard impact.
Made a big imprint.
And there is the number 8 car of Bobby Hill. And the lap leaders, Ken Schrader, Rusty Wallace has led, so has Kyle Petty, Jeff Bodine, and Dale Earnhardt. And 3 others have also led this race in the first 79 laps: Neil Bonnet, Dave Marcus, and Bobby Hillen. Out of race, Larry Pearson, Alan Kowicki, Richard Petty, Hut Strickland, and Sterling Marlin. Also Derek Cope, Joe Ruttman, Jimmy Horton, and Ernie Urban. Horton was the one that hit the wall over there in turn number 2. There was a huge round of applause here on the main straightaway, the most I've heard today for anything that's going on in the track. What happened,
Oh,
Benny?
right, they caught the rabbit.
Right.
Here, watch this now. Watch this right between. I love it.
Now let's see how they catch him. They're going to hem him in here. Here he comes. Okay. He's going to reach down. The rabbit was tired. The rabbit simply wore out.
But you know, NASCAR gave
Look at it, boy, right.
The NASCARs gave the track workers specific instructions not to kill the thing and try to capture it live and release it someplace outside the racetrack. Well, I'm glad we got
that. You see everything when you watch a stock car race, I'm telling you.
One more lap to green.
Well, we wondered if any drivers might come in and top off the fuel tank since they've gone a long time under caution, and Rick Wilson is one driver who did come in. And a couple of others down pit road that came in, they were back towards the back of the pack. Dick Johnson was one of those, and Dave Marcus, and Eddie Beersfall.
Well, Benny didn't have to go far when he found a place to show us what his hat of the week is. Here's Benny.
One of the most famous sights at the Pocono Raceway is Andy Matthews, who stands here and waves to each and every car as it rides by. So earlier in the year, when we started doing the Hat of the Week piece, I said, I need a hat that's very similar to the one that Andy is wearing. And guess what? Bill and John Greco from Warminster, Pennsylvania, sent me the hat that I'm wearing. And then a couple of weeks later, I received this hat in the mail. And I got to mention this hat because, folks, it came from my sister, Patty Sievert, in Anchorage, Alaska. And these are the hats of the week. But Friday night in Talladega, Alabama, there's going to be a fan appreciation night, and that's where the hats are going. So they're going to have an auction sale. You folks can go by and bid lots of money and have a good time in Talladega, Alabama.
Benny's hat of the week, and I got to let you know something, friends. That wasn't the one and only take that Benny did doing that. On one of the ones that we couldn't use, he mispronounced the name of his sister. Isn't that right?
No, I said Patty. It took me 3 times to get Patty out, that's all.
Well, let's go down to Jack Arute, who's with Jimmy Horton, who was involved in that accident up in turn number 2.
And he just got checked out in the infield care center, Bob. And Jimmy, you're okay, but tell us what happened up there. You hit the wall a ton.
Well, I just kind of made a mistake getting in that tunnel turn. I got a little loose, and I made, I guess, a rookie mistake. I overcorrected for it and got the car facing the wrong way and just slammed in the wall.
A tough break for Jimmy Horton, but there's still plenty of competition on trackside as the green flag is displayed, gentlemen.
Indeed, we are back under racing conditions on lap number 82. Bobby Hillen leads him down. Terry Labonte running second, and Brett Bodine is third.
It looks like everybody passed the start-finish line before they made a pass on the outside, as they were requested to do in the NASCAR drivers meeting today.
This is a strange group up front. These are cars that we haven't seen leading the race. Well, Neil Bonnet's car, the blue and white car in the very back, we've seen him leading the field. We've seen Ken Schrader, who sat on the pole. But Morgan Shepherd going back on the outside. I don't know if he just got caught out there or he has a problem.
He might have a flat tire. He's slowing down quite a bit, trying to get to the inside.
Up in the higher groove at the moment while everybody passes by on the low side, but Morgan certainly isn't up to speed. We'll be seeing him undoubtedly come in for a pit stop here in just a moment. Morgan Shepherd, car number 75 from Conover, North Carolina. They're being passed by the 04 car driven by Bob Shack, who finished third in the ARCA race yesterday here at Pocono. Jerry Punch is standing by in Morgan Shepherd's pit, and here he comes in for a stop.
The Valvoline Pontiac making an unscheduled stop as the green came back out of the crew. Butch Mock and the crew will run to the right side of the car. Apparently a flattened right side tire, and they will put the jack beneath the car. Morgan Shepherd losing valuable time here under green. Right side tires are off. They've replaced the tires, topping off the tank with a little bit of gasoline. Shepherd revving the motor. Schrader making a move for second spot as Shepherd now comes off the jack and will motor down pit road as they are dicing it up toward turn 3.
And indeed, Ken Schrader has moved into second position. Bobby Hillen is staving everyone off at the moment. Schrader now second, and Terry Labonte back to third position. That bright orange car there, number 48, is driven by Greg Sachs.
And he has made an unscheduled pit stop. He is from lap down, right in the middle of that group of cars.
Oh, and we have a car up against the wall. Eddie Beerswale slides right by our camera, which is located on the wall just out of corner number 3. And somebody else was also involved. Red car.
And I can't make out the number yet. It's car number
Dick Johnson.
38.
Yep.
Dick Johnson, the Australian.
As a matter of fact, he just won the 1989 Australian Touring Car Championship and now comes over to run a few Winston Cup races. But Eddie Beerswale's car number 13 is against the wall in turn number 4. The caution is being waved frantically by Harold Kinder. They have not taken the yellow flag yet, and they're going to have Beerswale's car to contend with as it's just off.
Oh, we're going to have a crash over there in turn 3 with the leaders because there's safety cars sitting in the middle of the racetrack, and the cars are all bunched up. They haven't taken the caution flag yet.
Yeah, they're going to get slowed down now, and it's, yeah, you can see the track workers out there frantically waving them down to the inside of the racetrack. Jeff Bodine is going to cross the stripe first and be the leader.
I expect NASCAR is going to have something to say, and a few crew chiefs to pass along to their drivers on that situation.
You know, that's not against the rules, but there's kind of a gentleman's rule that you don't pass unless it's to keep someone the lap down.
Let's take a look at it once again. You'll watch Bierschweel now come sliding high off of turn number 3 and get into the fence. There it is.
You can see him hit the wall and then spin around the other way. The back end almost off the ground as he comes around. You can see the damage to the right rear quarter panel.
And here's another angle. Watch the upper portion of your screen. There's the contact.
Hit it pretty hard backwards.
Sure looks like he did. It looks like that he and Dick Johnson might have had some contact, which caused him to spin. It's hard to say. We really can't tell from the shots.
Damage to the right front of Dick Johnson's red coat, car number 38.
Well, apparently NASCAR is going to have a conversation with Waddell Wilson, right, Jerry?
Well, as you alluded to, a number of crew chiefs here were talking to their drivers, and as you mentioned, they wanted to get the drivers to slow down a little bit, but they had not taken the caution flag yet, so they weren't aware that the safety crew were on the track, and there is a little bit of a discussion going on, and what Waddell is basically telling them is that, hey, our drivers hadn't taken the yellow flag yet. They don't mean to run back that quickly, but they're all running for position, and we'll notify them to make sure next time if you let us know the safety truck's going to be out there, we'll try to get them slowed down. So I think it's a double involvement here. NASCAR is trying to get the safety crews on the track as quickly as possible to attend to the cars that crashed up there, and the crews are trying to get their cars slowed down, but it's so far to the back straightaway, it's hard to get communication. We mentioned already some of the crews don't have radio communication with their drivers, so they're trying again to reinforce the fact that they should slow down as quickly as possible. And here is Bobby Hillen now making an entry on the pit road. Hillen will take that Miller High Buick down as Harry Hyde and the crew now will go to work on that car. He is the only car among the leaders that made an entry on the pit road. Jeff Bodine, Schrader, and the remainder of the team will stay behind the pace car as they are going to the right side of the Bobby Hillen car now. The tires are off. They're replacing those right side tires and adding fuel to the car. So Hillen will take advantage of this yellow flag. The right side tires are on. They rush around to the left side of the car as they have gas still going in the car. And it looks like Hillen will get complete service as he's on the left side now getting left side tires. So full 4 tire change for Bobby Hillen, who was the leader prior to the yellow flag. He is still on pit road.
Now pulling away, Dick Johnson there pitted just ahead of him as Johnson was involved in that Eddie Bierschweel crash there in turn number 3. So another caution is over Pocono International Raceway, our 6th of the afternoon. Over 100,000 people on hand here at Pocono. Eddie Bierschweel's car is on pit road after being involved in a crash up in turn number 3. Here's a replay of it.
As they came off of turn 3, apparently he and Dick Johnson got together. Dick Johnson, the red car that moved down on the inside. Bierswell spinning against the wall on the outside of the racetrack, doing quite a bit of damage to his car.
And from another angle, there you can see Bierschweel hitting the wall with the rear end of the car, and Johnson to the right side of your screen with also a little bit of body damage to the right side of the automobile. Well, let's go down to Jerry Punch and get a follow-up on this situation involving the race toward the yellow flag, Jerry.
We mentioned a discussion between NASCAR and some of the crew chiefs, and Waddell, they talked about your driver slowing down, but Jeff had a tough time slowing down. Why?
Well, Jeff momentarily slowed down, but then he looked in his mirror and seen Rusty and the other guys coming up on him, and, you know, we're coming to the halfway point, and there's a lot of money up. So then Jeff took off again and trying to protect himself, so, you know, he was wrong but right. So, you know, I hope it doesn't happen like that again. And we don't want to race like that, but sometimes we get forced to do things like that.
They're about 13 laps away from $10,000 of Gillette right guard halfway money, so Jeff Bodine is protecting his position. Let's go up pit road to Jackaroo.
Well, Jerry, as you know, it can be real intense down in here on pit road oftentimes, but sometimes there's a place for a little levity as well. Morgan Shepherd has had a great run thus far, although he's mired back in the back 20 right now, has lost the knob to his gear shift while he's been going out here during restarts. So Bob Rahilly and the crew, trying to get their sponsor plug in here, have fashioned a brand new gear shift. On the next pit stop, they're going to put it in, and so they don't make a mistake, they labeled it. top goes on first. These guys are a little weird sometimes. Let's go back up to you.
Morgan running in 24th position as we get set to go back to racing. Jeff Bodine is out front. Ken Schrader is second. Mark Martin third. Rusty Wallace fourth. Terry Labonte is fifth. Dale Earnhardt sixth in line. Brett Bodine seventh. Davey Allison eighth. Darrell Waltrip ninth. And Neil Bonnet in 10th position as the speeds pick up toward turn number 1. So the guys who started up front are still up front. In reverse order, though. Schrader started from pole. Jeff Bodine started second. Right now, Bodine is first and Schrader is second. But here comes Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace putting a lot of pressure on both of those Chevy Luminas. And Rusty Wallace now sets his sights on third position and passes Mark Martin with ease. Rusty Wallace is now third.
26 drivers still on the lead lap as we near the halfway mark.
And I think they told Rusty Wallace there's $10,000 up at halfway because he certainly is running like it.
They made a presentation to him in the pre-race ceremonies for leading at Michigan a few weeks ago, getting the $10,000. The 5th time this year that he's done that, he said, I've got your $50,000 so far. He said, I'm going to try to collect every bit of money that you put up the rest of the year.
He's won all the money this year.
No, he's run 5. But wow. Ken Schrader won it at Dover. Remember when he and Earnhardt kind of tangled a little bit.
I remember that very well, yes.
And there have been others as well. But Rusty Wallace has won more than anyone else.
Rusty Wallace has moved to second. With about 10 laps before we award $10,000, the right guard halfway challenge, indicating the 250 miles completed.
Who was Rusty signaling to? Did you see his hand go out the window? Oh, did you see him drive in that corner?
Unbelievable.
That car is really working.
Looked like his brakes failed almost. He went the corner so hard. Wow.
Now we watch him down the north straightaway. Once again, Wallace pulls right up on the rear bumper of that number 5 car. Rusty Wallace is looking for the lead. Out of corner number 3, he'll stay right behind Jeff Bodine for the long trip down this straightaway.
That's not because he wanted to, just simply because Bodine had a good line off the corner. He accelerated very well. Rusty wasn't able to get alongside of him.
They pulled away from third place Ken Schrader and Mark Martin.
Terry Labonte running in 5th place. You can barely see his car. And the picture here's 3rd and 4th. Ken Schrader in 3rd. Mark Martin in 4th place.
Rusty closing in once again in the tunnel turn. He'll take a run at Jeff Bodine once again as we watch the battle for third position. Ken Schrader and Mark Martin. Here's Wallace. Looking inside once again.
He knows that's where he needs to make his move. Get a good run off of that turn. Get some momentum going down the straightaway. Didn't have enough that time.
As Ned talked about in the very beginning of the program, you've got to have the right line coming off of turn number 3 or it upsets for the almost the entire lap.
You see, we saw Dale Earnhardt back on the inside. There he is. He's got by Terry Labonte. He's now in 5th spot.
Bodine, Wallace, Schrader, Martin, then Earnhardt, and Labonte, your top 6. Laps are completed. Less than 10 to go before the $10,000 halfway challenge money is awarded.
Look at Rusty Wallace stick on the bottom of the racetrack, and he kicks up dirt. And now he's looking once again on the inside. One of these times he's going to get a run on Bodine.
Boy, I'll tell you, Jeff's doing a nice job keeping him back there.
Yes, he is. Mark Martin just moved around Ken Schrader and has taken over the 3rd position.
And they just might be gaining on the leader. I tell you, Mark Martin might be someone that to be reckoned with before this day's over.
We talked about him not starting the farthest back that he had all year. First time he started out with the top 5. Maybe that's what he needed. He's been knocking on the winner's door all year long, but starting up front, maybe he needed to start a little farther back.
Good point. What a major disappointment for that Mark Martin and Jack Roush team at Daytona when they miscalculated their fuel mileage and ended up about 5 laps short. Jeff Bodine continuing to hold on to the lead. keeping Rusty Wallace at bay. Look how Rusty closes in the corners.
Boy, he drives in the corner and just stays on the bottom of the racetrack so well. Bodine comes up, but Jeff's car accelerated very well off all the corners, not only the third corner, but first and second corner.
Yeah, he's got some horsepower, no doubt about it. His car's working well, too. He's able to use that horsepower.
92 laps completed.
But Mark Martin looks like he might have gained another car length or two that lap.
And look at this scramble for position back here. Jimmy Spencer involved, so is Neil Bonnet, Morgan Shepherd, Dale Jarrett, Rick Wilson. They get strung out in a single file formation, but man, as they came down the straightaway, it was a scramble. There's Dick Johnson in the number 38 red car that is showing some damage on the right front corner.
Rick Wilson goes up underneath Dale Jarrett across the tunnel corner. Dale backs off. They go through single file.
Now here comes Neil Bonnet. Ooh, right on the exhaust pipe of Jimmy Spencer.
I think he had a run on Neil Bonnet or Jimmy Spencer, but he saw the slow car there and was concerned that he wasn't able to get back.
All right, here the way things stand up front. Now Mark Martin is right there on the back bumper of Rusty Wallace.
And Bob, it's just been a case of having patience for Mark Martin and his Steve Neal-led team from the Jack Roush stable. Martin, you know, had that tire that went down. I just talked to Steve Neal, and he said basically what we were was a little bit out of sync. We've tried to hold our own, and the little bit of racing that we saw between Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace was the slight advantage that was needed for Mark Martin to close and make it a three-car battle for the lead, Jerry Punch.
You know, Mark Martin's car that he has here is the car he's won 2 poles with this year. He won a pole at Dover and at Darlington. In fact, this car had not started off the front row in all 6 races it's run in. But what happened earlier in the week, they took the car back and they cut it in half. They cut the rear steer off the car, the rear steer front snout, and put a front snout on the car. So Martin did not qualify as well. We said when the track gets a little bit slipperier toward the halfway point, I'm going to be there in the hunt. And I guess he predicted awfully right, because right now he's rushing in on Wallace and Bodine.
He appears to be set up very well for race conditions as opposed to qualifying. He is right here in the thick of things as we now are less than 6 laps away from the halfway point. It's still Jeff Bodine, Rusty Wallace, and Mark Martin. Wallace looking to the inside, coming off the first corner down the long pond straightaway. Still not able to make the move. He drops in behind Jeff.
Boy, this is exciting. 5.5 laps to go.
Now, Wallace has to not only drive offensively, he has to drive defensively as Mark Martin moves up on him, but he's got the offense going.
And there it is. Rusty Wallace makes the move going into turn number 3. Rusty has the lead now as we come up on lap number 95, and Mark Martin is looking for second position. He and Jeff Bodine trade some paint off the third corner. They come. Rusty, or rather Mark, almost lost it. Look at Squirrely coming off the corner, and it's a drag race in a dead heat of the line.
Don't get so excited, Jenkins. When you saw him slip, you forgot who he was, didn't you?
And there is Martin now going into second position. Jeff Bodine is back to third.
Now let's see if he can run Rusty Wallace down. He only has just a few more laps before that $10,000 comes up. But he had run the pair down, but now Rusty has pulled away a little bit after he took the lead.
It may be that once Rusty Wallace got by Jeff Bodine, he could run a little bit faster than he could following Jeff Bodine, and therefore Mark Martin may not be able to catch him. We'll see.
Yeah, Jeff might have been holding Rusty up a little bit.
We will take a break and be back with more live coverage of the AC Sparkplug 500. Here are the standings. Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, and Ken Schrader as we are very close now to the halfway point. $10,000 as they come down this time. It'll complete lap number 98, so 2 more to go, and Rusty Wallace is looking pretty good at this point. There you can see a record for cars finishing on the lead, lap 13 today at the halfway point, or within 2 laps of it, 25.
I think Mark Martin's looking pretty good because he's gained. He was about 15 car lengths back just a little bit ago. He's 7 or 8 car lengths back now. He might have enough to catch Rusty. Let's see. Boy, he's sticking on the bottom of the racetrack down in turn 1. Car looks awfully good at this point of the race.
Looks like he's closing in on Rusty. Down the Long Pond straightaway.
Looks like about 5 car lengths, doesn't it?
Yeah, 5 or 6, something like that.
He's got a lap and a half. He can do wonders in that.
Oh, yeah. A lot of time to go.
I don't think you can catch him, though, in that time of passing.
Oh, come on, Ned.
Okay.
Well, that's just an opinion.
I don't either, Ned. I really don't. I think Rusty's got this thing wrapped up. Let's go to Jack Arute, who's with Steve Meal, the crew chief on the Mark Martin car. Now just a little over a lap to go, Jack, before the halfway challenge.
And, Bob, let's find out, just maybe from someone that might know. Has Mark said anything? Can he catch Rusty for that $10,000 at the halfway mark?
Hey, he hadn't said anything, and he's real busy, so I wasn't going to ask him. But we run pretty good from the start. We had a flat tire under the green. It took this long to get us back in sync. But my guys worked all night, 2 nights this week, trying to get this race car fixed how we wanted it fixed to bring it up here. And we worked real hard on it the past 2 days, and I think Mark has got what he needs in him now. We might could even win the race, but Rusty is awful stout.
Well, Rusty may be awfully stout, but Mark Martin is also diving right down into the dirt trying to gain that position.
Okay, we got a half a lap to go now as Wallace leads Mark Martin over the tunnel turn. Mark closing in. Ooh, got awful high coming out of the corner.
I like to hit my head on this wall. I was trying to keep him out of that wall and almost crashed myself.
Let's go to Jerry very quickly as they are very close now to $10,000. Here they come out of the third corner, Jerry.
They are watching here in the Kodiak pits, watching and applauding as Rusty Wallace now makes his way out of turn 3 and will come down and get the halfway cross flag for $10,000. And let's get a quick comment from Barry Dotson here in the pits. Barry, did Rusty show his hand there? Did he show all he had?
I don't know. He said, let me know when it's 5 to it, you know, and I did. The next thing I knew, he came off the corner leading. So he's doing a good job. I just told him, I said, you earned it, you deserve it. Can't say enough for him. He's driving his heart out.
Everybody's chasing Rusty Wallace, who has just made himself and the crew $10,000 richer. Bob?
All right, and so $10,000, the right guard halfway challenge money goes to Rusty Wallace in car number 27. So that may have told us something, guys. If he asked Barry to tell him when there's 5 laps, it appears as if Rusty just took the lead at will.
Could be. There's Dale Jarrett. Looks like, did he have a problem then?
I think the right rear tire has blown on that car. The whole side, the right rear quarter panel was blown off of it as he went down the front straightaway here. So Dale will be trying to get that Hardee's Pontiac back to the pits.
Yeah, on the other side of the race car, there's quite a hole over the right rear tire. And Dale came down the straightaway at reduced speed, and some of the drivers had to take evasive action to avoid running into him, but he appears to be now on his way successfully to pit road as Mark Martin is still challenging Rusty Wallace for the lead. Just past the halfway point of the AC Spark Plug 500 here at Pocono International Raceway. Back with more of our live action after this. We're back at Pocono, and while we were away, we had a change of leader as Mark Martin was able to pass Rusty Wallace, and here's how it occurred.
Pulls on the inside coming off turn 3. There's a piece of tire. They straddle that. Rusty Wallace on the outside, Mark Martin on the inside, and NASCAR is going to throw the caution flag because of that piece of tire debris laying on the front straightaway. But Mark Martin makes the pass, has the preferred line going in turn 1, is now the leader.
And I think that piece of rubber that is on the racetrack that they're going to have to get off during this caution period is from Dale Jarrett's car. Back with more after this. Time for more pit stops as the caution is out. Jack Arute is on pit road.
Mark Martin has brought his car down. The leader has completed his work on the right front Jerry punch. What about Rusty Wallace?
Already right side tires on the Kodiak Pontiac. They're to the left side of this car, changing left side tires. How about it, Jack? How's Mark Martin?
This is a great confrontation side by side. Martin has completed the work. He is off and away. He's going to drag race Jeff Bodine down the end of pit road.
Boy, all 3 of those guys just blasted out of the pit area, it seemed, at the same instant, and Jeff Bodine comes out ahead of Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace.
He won the race coming out of there. Neil Bonnet again making a good pit stop with the Wood brothers and the Sitco Ford. He came out behind the Bodine, but Waddell Wilson and the crew in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet did a good pit stop for Jeff Bodine.
Always like to take our commercial breaks and pay some bills while there is limited activity on the racetrack, and so that's what we're going to do again as the field is behind the pace car once again. That's Ernie Irvin there in car number 2, and Jimmy Means, the cars immediately behind the NASCAR pace car. So we'll take another break and be right back with more. Welcome back to Pocono International Raceway in Pennsylvania. Today, live NASCAR Winston Cup Racing, the AC Spark Plug 500. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Dodge Cars and Trucks. On the street or off the road, it's the new spirit of Dodge. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by the Die Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. Well, we have seen a lot of passing on the racetrack, and we have also seen a lot of passing on pit road as the cars complete their service and pull out.
And, of course, Mark Martin came in as the leader of the race, but look at Jeff Bodine coming out in car number 5, passing both the car 27 and the car number 6. Let's go to Jerry Putt.
Well, Ned, what gave Bodine an opportunity to be able to race those guys down pit road and take the lead as they go back to green here in just a moment was the fact that his crew changed 4 tires, added 2 cans of gasoline in 20.8 seconds. Now, that's an outstanding job by Waddell Wilson, Joey Knuckles, the Levi Garrett crew. They were jumping and high-fiving here in the pits, but they've been wanting to beat this Kodiak crew out of the pits all day. They haven't quite been able to do it, but this time when it really counted, they beat them out of the pits because they had to, because they came in behind them, and it gave Bodine the opportunity to race them down pit road and be up front when the green comes out.
All right, let's take a look now at our pit stop summary and show you who gained and who lost. Bobby Hillen was the big winner in 19th out in the lead. Jeff Bodine picked up 1 spot. Rusty Wallace lost 4, and Neil Bonnet, another big gainer, in 16th and out 3rd.
Well, there again, track position means so much in Winston Cup racing anymore because of the parity that's distributed all the way through the field. The cars are so equal that if you can gain a second or gain 4 or 5 seconds in the pits, it's a lot easier than trying to do it on the racetrack.
There are only 4 cars that are on the racetrack that are a lap down. They include Dale Jarrett in number 29. Dick Johnson is also a lap down. Make that Dick Trickle is a lap down. Dick Johnson also. And the 06 car of Terry Byers. Another Australian is not on the lead lap. 2 Australians in this race, Dick Johnson and Terry Byers. As the green flag comes out and back to racing we go.
Bobby Hillen got a good jump there on the restart, so he managed to hold the lead as he went into turn 1. Jeff Bodine, of course, running in 2nd place, stalking him off of turn 2.
Second time this afternoon that Bobby Hillen has led this race. Although in 14 previous Pocono starts, Bobby has only had 1 top 10 finish. And he's only had 1 top 10 finish so far in 1989. That was at Charlotte in the Coca-Cola World 600. He finished in 9th position. Here comes Bodine closing in, though. He may make a bid for the lead here going into turn number 3. Bobby holds him off.
Good move on Bobby Hillen's part. Dove down to the bottom of the racetrack and has the lead. Bodine looks on the inside as they come off turn 3.
I saw somebody get up against the wall. Woof.
The Congo line that Jerry Punch talked about earlier in the show, there it is, back and forth down that long 3,700-foot straightaway.
Yeah, Earnhardt did make contact with the wall coming off of 3. I thought I saw it and didn't cause any major problems, but Earnhardt did scrape the boilerplate off of 3. Now Bodine looking for the lead once again. Here comes Rusty Wallace behind Jeff, and Mark Martin is also right there. Jeff Bodine will pass Bobby Hillen going into turn number 2. Now Rusty Wallace is 3rd there in line behind Jeff Bodine and Bobby Hillen, and Rusty will undoubtedly make a move on Bobby here on the North Straightaway. Wallace moving into 2nd now, and Mark Martin comes right along.
Apparently Hillen didn't take on tires, and he's not able to keep his car down on the inside as low as those who have on the newer tires.
Scramble for position here involving the number 11 car of Terry Labonte, Davey Allison, also Ken Schrader, our pole sitter. This is for 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Now As I said a moment ago, there's a great deal of parity in Winston Cup racing. Our pole sitter back racing for 10th spot and has a race on his hand for that position. Meanwhile, back up front, Jeff Bodine, the yellow car, the white car, Rusty Wallace running second, the blue car, Mark Martin. He's third. Bobby Hillin, the 8th, is fourth, and there's Darrell Walter, the Tide Chevrolet number 17 in 5th place.
Still hanging in there.
Yep, he's been in the hunt all day, and I think he's playing his typical Darrell Waltrip race, just staying within sight of the leaders, and watch him in the last 25 laps of the race.
Harry Gant then almost came into the picture in the green cars. He moved up on Bobby Hillin, and he's another one that's been up in the thick of this battle. But right now, the battle is for the front spot.
And here comes Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace down the front straightaway. Front straightaway has been used as a drag strip previously, and before the race, Warren Johnson brought out his pro stock dragster and took a run down the front straightaway. But right now, it is a Winston Cup racetrack.
Some of these guys wish they had some of his power when they come off that flat turn 3, that corner that's so critical to get around in this racetrack, and you just need all the power you can get. Don't they wish they had another 100 horsepower?
Jeff Bodine did win one of the races last year here at Pocono, and look at this, 3 abreast. It is Ricky Rudd, Michael Waltrip, Rick Wilson, Morgan Shepherd, and Kyle Petty.
3 of those guys are very close friends. Michael Waltrip, Rick Wilson, and Kyle Petty. Very good. Oh, Rusty Wallace in the grass coming off turn 3.
Now, these two might not be quite as close to friends as you were talking about.
No, and look how much it cost Rusty in speed, because Mark Martin is looking the inside of it. He might take second place away.
Let's see if he does as they go into turn number 1. Mark Martin to the inside, and yes, indeed, Mark goes into second. Rusty Wallace is in third. Oh, and Mark Martin gets the left side wheels off the racetrack.
Kicks up a little dirt, and that's where we saw some flat tires early on in the race. That's where those flat tires come from. When we see these cars kick up dirt, sometimes there's small stones in that dirt. They kick them up on the racetrack, and the cars behind them, when they run across them, those little stones will puncture a tire.
I think Rusty Wallace has something to prove here, that he's got a better car than Mark Martin, and maybe looking to take back that second position. Now it is Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott passing Bobby Hillin on the inside.
That's for the 6th position, 6th, 7th, and 8th we're seeing on the screen there now.
And I tell you what, you guys have talked about this earlier on. There we see Dale Earnhardt, the black 3, number 9, the red and white car, Bill Elliott. Elliott looking on the inside of Earnhardt, but look, you guys have kept talking about it. There's Darrell Waltrip, the orange car, 4th place, and he's gaining. How did you know this?
Well, I've just been watching him. Oh, look at this. It's Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt go in side by side. You guys told me earlier you can't run 2 abreast through there, but
you
they
can't.
did.
But they did.
Well, if anybody can do it, it's Bill Elliott.
Now, if they go through the... No, okay. I thought if they went through the tunnel corner side by side, we was going to be seeing a prick.
Probably a wreck.
Yeah, or a wreck, one or the other.
Back up front, meanwhile. Oh, Ricky Rudd has a problem.
Looks like a wheel bearing. Looks like maybe a left front wheel bearing or a brake rotor or something. It doesn't look like an engine problem, does it, Ned?
No, it doesn't. It looks like it's coming from that left front, and Rudd is pulling it off the track.
Here's for the lead, Mark Martin.
He's got a habit of the line. Mark Martin is in the lead. Jeff Bodine is on his outside. Let's see who takes the advantage going into the first turn. Martin, I believe, is going to hold it indeed. And now the battle for second as Rusty Wallace is trying to latch on to Mark Martin and come along. But nope, Jeff Bodine has second.
Rusty backs off because the yellow flag is out. And, you know, a little bit ago we had some racing back to the line, and NASCAR told the guys, don't do that anymore. That time we saw Rusty Wallace, as soon as he realized the caution was out, back off and take third position. Good move by Rusty Wallace.
Yellow out on lap number 112 because Ricky Rudd has pulled off of the racetrack, and the track crew will be coming out to check the 2.5-mile tri-oval. Ricky was running in 15th position when he suffered this problem, and speculation from Benny and Ned, maybe a wheel bearing.
There's cars trying to get a lap back. Dave Marcus and Dale Jarrett really racing hard off of turn 3. Here comes Dale Jarrett down on the inside of Darrell Waltrip. Here they come, trying to pass the leaders, trying to get back in the lead lap. Are they going to be able to make it? No, I don't think so. Mark Martin's going to hold them off. They saw what was happening. I guess the crew members told them they passed a bunch of them, but not enough.
Wound up just a little bit shy of getting their lap back. There's Ricky Rudd's car off the racetrack. We'll be back in a moment. Under caution at Pocono because Ricky Rudd's car came off of the racetrack after suffering some kind of a mechanical woe. And we can find out perhaps what went wrong with that car as we go to Jerry Punch, who's with Larry McReynolds.
Well, Larry's the crew chief, and Larry, apparently from looking around, they're packing up all the pit equipment. It must be terminal. What happened?
Well, we lost an engine, Jerry. You know, it's been that kind of day. We've been twisting jack bolts, changing stagger. Finally got the car going our way. You know, he was happy. We'd worked our way back up to about 11th or 12th, and something happened in the bottom end of the motor. But I want to stress that we're not going to get down about this. This is only the second engine the Quaker State Buick has lost this year. You know, my hat's still off to Lula Rosa and his department. We're all in this together. We just go to Talladega and do the best we can.
What a great attitude this team has. They are hustling and trying to put it together for Kenny Bernstein and Ricky Rudd as the season winds down. Let's go up pit road to Jack Arute. Jack?
Well, Jerry, as you can see, Terry Labonte is being recorded as the leader during this caution, but Tim Brewer, you call the shots down here for the Budweiser team. A problem with the clutch, maybe?
Well, you know, the linkage has got a problem right now, but, you know, it's no big deal. You know, we're just going to have to shut the thing down, get it rolling on the pit stop. But as you can see, we've got a downhill stretch right here, so we hope we can get it going. So, you know, it's no big deal, Jackie. You know, everybody has to stop him twice to finish the race. So.
I think maybe they're just underplaying it just a little bit, but they're out front right now. We're getting ready to get back to a start. We show 1 to go as they come to the line.
Terry Labonte is lined up right behind Dave Marcus, who is not on the lead lap. Terry Labonte started in 22nd, has steadily progressed toward the front from 7th to 4th, and now into the lead at the end of 115 laps.
And let's take a look. Here's car number 44, the Bob Tullius car. First time for that team ever. Jim Sauter driving the car. Bob Tullius, a famous road racer, and that car is running currently in 4th position. So the new team done a great job here today.
And I tell you, Tullius said he's looked around. He had a lot of applicants for drivers, a lot of applications for drivers. He wanted a mature driver. And I really and truly believe he made an excellent choice in Jim Sauter, because he is a mature driver. He's in his mid-40s. He don't have to prove anything to anybody. He's a good race car driver, if not a great race car driver. And who knows, something may come of this marriage.
Well, I spoke to Bob Tullius a little while ago, just before the race began, gentlemen, and he said that he's going to try to run as many races as he can afford to run. He has 2 cars, 2 Hutchinson-Pagan prepared cars that are front steer machines. He intends to run Jim Sauter, as you said, Benny Parsons, as many races as they possibly can. Now, Sauter has very limited road racing experience, so just possibly Tullius may come out of semi-retirement when they go to Watkins Glen in a few weeks, early in August, and he may drive the car himself at Watkins Glen. What he wanted us to mention was he does not have a sponsor. He's a new team here in Winston Cup Racing, so what he did, he is a board of director member for a substance abuse program here, a program that helps youngsters as far as drugs and alcohol. It is called Shalom et Benedictus, meaning hello and goodbye. And that's what they have on the back of the car on the Pontiac today. Shalom et Benedictus, you know, saluting the substance abuse program that he's involved with up there in Winchester, Virginia. Let's go up pit road to Jack Arute.
Jack, another great thing about Bob Tullius that most people might not know is he has driven a stock car before. He did it in a modified competition in a thing called the Spring Sizzler, about 15 years ago. And he says it was one of the things that accounted for him getting bitten by the stock car bite. But he's back here in the big time in the Winston Cup now.
You know, there's no sponsorship on that car, but it's a very distinctive color scheme that Bob Tullius has, the white and the two-tone green. Remember before Tom Walkinshaw took over the Jaguar operation in IMSA in this country, Bob Tullius fielded the Jaguars, and they were colored in that color scheme then, and his Winston Cup car carries the same scheme. 117 laps are in the books, and we're back to green at Pocono International Raceway and AC Spark Plug 500. Terry Labonte is the leader. Look at Michael Waltrip laying down a streak of rubber as he goes through turn number 1.
Now, Dale Jarrett and Dave Marcus have gotten their lap back there right now. If they could get their caution flag break, they would be back in it. Both of them lost laps as a result of unscheduled pit stops. They were both running in the lead lap. Here's Kyle Petty trying to move on the inside of Terry Labonte to take the lead.
Indeed, Terry Labonte goes back to second spot, and Kyle Petty goes into the lead. And now Michael Waltrip in that yellow car number 30 is challenging for second position. And look who's right there, Darrell Waltrip in car 17. So we have Michael and Darrell running 3rd and 4th.
I tell you what, Margaret Waltrip if you're awake down in Owensboro, Kentucky, I know you're feeling good right now as those boys are running third and fourth.
Strong performance by both this afternoon, especially Darrell. He's run strong all race long, despite the fact that he was extremely unhappy after he qualified on Friday afternoon. He was one of the last cars to qualify in near darkness and fog, and he didn't blame that on his poor qualifying performance, but was very unhappy. But obviously he's got the car set up well for race day.
He has certainly been right up there in the top 10, top 5 many times, and just sitting there, and I think biding his time to some degree. I think he's going to be a factor for the lead before this race is over.
I definitely do too.
Here's Rusty Wallace right behind those cars, moving into about 4th spot.
Out the back of Terry Labonte's car, watching Michael Waltrip.
You know, the reason Mike Waltrip's running so well today was a fellow by the name of Mike Beam. Now, the crew of Mike Beam and all the crew in the Country Time Lemonade car, as they are side by side now. Older brother Darrell Waltrip goes to the inside. Looks like he will have the measure of his younger brother Mike Waltrip as they head for turn 1. So it'll be Darrell and then Michael down toward turn 1 as they squeeze it in. But Mike Waltrip's car number 30 this morning, they changed engines, they changed shocks, they changed motor, they changed spring, they changed everything they could change on the car to try to make the car run a little quicker. And that's really a special effort you got to give to Mike Beam and that crew. They have hustled all weekend long to get that car to run the well it's running right now.
Michael running well, but Darrell has passed him, and so has Rusty Wallace. Kyle Petty still is the leader. We have had 18 lead changes among 11 different drivers in this event. Back to 8th, 9th, and 10th position as we see Dale Earnhardt in the number 3 car. That's Brett Bodine in 15, Bill Elliott in number 9, Harry Gant in number 33, Rick Wilson in car number 4. And Gant, who had a very, very strong car in the early stages of this race, has not been up near the front in the last few laps.
And I think it's been because of circumstances, Bob, maybe coming out of the pits a little bit later or something like that. I still think he has a good race car. And he had to take an outside groove right there then. They slowed down, didn't give him room down on the inside, so he just drove up on the outside of Elliott, although we know that's not the place to be.
When that camera spun around that, I thought he'd spun out. It scared me to death.
So did I.
We see the Tullius car on the outside there as Bill Elliott gets back by on the inside. Tullius is now the car number 44 off Tullius, being driven by Jim Sauter, is on the outside of Harry Gant's car.
We saw the dirt come off the left rear of Bill Elliott's car as he got down right next to the dirt.
Let's listen to the places where Harry is on and off the accelerator for a few minutes here. Rusty Wallace is coming in for a pit stop. Jerry Punch is in his pits. Let's see what happens.
Well, gentlemen, Rusty is being victimized by the same problem that helped hurt Bill Elliott earlier today. Apparently, he has cut a tire down, possibly a right rear tire. They have the right side jack up on the car, and they take the right side tires off. Looks like the right rear tire may have been going down. The tires are on, and they will come around and now change left side tires. So they want to make sure they get the right tire at the right time. It takes enough time here to run a lap under green. They can hustle here and get 4 tire changes and not lose a lap. But they are really trying to hustle. The car now still on the jack. The A car puts the lugs in the left front. He is down and away, heading for turn 1.
That was a good, smart move on them to go ahead and change all 4 tires while they were in there. As quick as that pit crew is, they can do it, still stay in the lead lap. He was going to be completely out of the draft, away from the other cars anyway, and the only thing that's going to help him is a caution flag, so he's going to be out in front of the leaders, so he's going to be okay. You see the leaders coming off of turn 3 as Rusty's going into turn 1.
Almost a full straightaway behind now, but Rusty Wallace does remain on the lead lap as Kyle Petty leads this gaggle of cars down the front straightaway. Labonte is second. Waltrip is in third.
And who knows who's in third?
Well, I'll tell you, Kyle Petty is pulling away from Terry Labonte and Darrell Waltrip right now. He's looking very strong in that Gary Nelson prepared automobile.
I tell you what, we might not be talking enough about Kyle Petty because we might have a winner on our hands. Look at Dale Earnhardt, the black 3 followed by the red and white 9 of Bill Elliott. Michael Waltrip being passed by Jeff Bodine. Michael in the yellow 30.
Morgan Shepherd getting caught on the outside. Bill Elliott will move on the inside of him.
Here comes Brett Bodine in the 15 to join the group. Bill Elliott and Morgan Shepherd are side by side, headed for number 3.
And Bill Elliott will get the best of that battle because he has the preferred line coming off the turn.
Earnhardt and Michael Waltrip. And Elliott in number 9. Our Napa race summary has Kyle Petty in the lead. He has led 6 of the 120 laps. The average speed of the event, 115.830. We've had 10 leaders, 18 lead changes, 8 cautions for a total of 31 laps, and 23 cars are on the lead lap. Unbelievable. Those that have led: Ken Schrader from the pole, then Rusty Wallace, Kyle Petty, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Neil Bonnet, Dave Marcus has led a lap, so has Bobby Hillen, Mark Martin, and once again Kyle Petty, who is the current leader. Out of the race, Larry Pearson, Alan Kowicki, a very early DNF. Richard Petty dropped out very early in the event also. Hut Strickland is out, so is Sterling Marlin. Derry Cope, Joe Ruttman, Jimmy Horton, Eddie Birchwheel, Ricky Rudd. Rudd the most recent to exit the event because of an apparent blown engine. There is Kyle Petty leading the AC Sparkplug 500 at Pocono. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Jack Arute, and Jerry Punch back at Pocono, and the leader is Kyle Petty. He started this race in 40th position, was 6th at the end of 20 laps, 20th at the end of 80, and now leads at the end of 124 laps. And the reason he started in 40th position, in case you joined us late, he was caught cheating. He and crew chief Gary Nelson, and Gary admitted it. They took 40 pounds out of the car from the time it left the scales to the time it arrived on pit road. They got caught, and therefore Kyle was sent to the back of the field for the start of the race. Michael Waltrip, who was running in the top 5 just a few laps ago, has come in for a stop, and they're changing the right side rubber. Jack Arute is right there.
And Bob, that is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to change left sides as well because they're afraid they may have had a tire go flat picking up a stone. The Country Time Lemonade crew, led by Mike Beam, is going to work. Michael Waltrip, a little bit distressed by this. They've completed the work on the left rear. They're finishing it on the right rear. They drop the Jack, and he's away, but not very quickly.
Well, he's going to have to hustle Jack to get out of the pits and stay in the lead lap. As the leaders come off at turn 3, Michael comes out of the pits, and here they come down the straightaway. So he'll have to hurry and get his speed up.
And I tell you what, folks, there is Michael Waltrip going down in turn 1. Here comes the leaders. And in Winston Cup racing, it really doesn't get much better than this. 4 cars for the lead, bumper to bumper. Kyle Petty, Terry Labonte, Darrell Waltrip, and Mark Martin.
Interesting that Terry Labonte has moved back up into 2nd position. He won here 5 weeks ago, started that race from 23rd, started today from 22nd, and he's right there, right behind the leader.
Well, for a little bit, Kyle Petty had pulled away from the 2nd and 3rd place cars. Now they, of course, have moved right back up on his bumper. So Terry Labonte looking for an opportunity to move into the lead.
22 cars are on the lead lap.
Terry Labonte was not getting fully back in the gas when he decelerated, and then was Michael Waltrip coming back into the pits once again. He has gone down a lap, so Michael Waltrip having problems here in the Country Time Lemonade car. Jack Arute is there. Jack, what's going on there?
Well, Ned, he was complaining of a rattle, and they thought might have been a tire. Then they thought it might have been this bolt that fell out when he came up on the jack. But now they come back in because they're going to look to the rear because they think it's either a clutch or it possibly could be back in the rear end area. The crew going to work, they're going to look at the axle because they think that might be indeed what it is. He might have snapped an axle here.
And a trouble.
Oh, we have a car upside down, rolling down the racetrack. That's the number 48 car, driven by Greg Sachs.
Looks like Lake Speed.
Lake Speed also involved. Greg Sachs' car on its top. However, we can see movement inside the cockpit. We believe there's a small fire burning in the engine compartment.
It looks that way on top of the engine. And
there we see Greg crawling out from the car.
Yeah,
boy, get out of there. Atta boy.
Oh. So that's always good to see the driver come out after a crash of that sort.
He doesn't have a helmet on.
Well, he had to take it off because of the radio.
Climb out.
Now he wants to go back.
Help Lake Speed to see if Lake's okay. Checking on him. He pulled his helmet off to
this in
because the radio.
In turn number 1, and again, we're going to be delayed considerably because the wall has given away once again.
Wow.
Okay, let's take a look at what did happen. as he went into turn one. He was on the outside. It looks like Lake Speed might have lost an engine. At least he lost the car, and Greg hit him, and they both head through that wall. Greg Sachs hit it hard with the right front, and then the car gets upset and starts rolling over as they come down off of the wall. Barrel rolling. Look how high it goes into the air, comes back down.
Oh,
over and over
God for Winston Cup cars and how strong they are. Look at that thing.
You can see the fire, Benny, under the hood of the car, and then it rests back on the top. And as we saw, then Greg Sachs was able to crawl out of there.
The fire was he broke the carburetor when all those tumbles, and the fuel in the carburetor came out and ignited. That was not a big fire, but let's hope that Lake Speed can jump out of there just as quickly as Greg Sachs did.
Greg Sachs is quite concerned about Lake Speed, and Lake has not come out of that car, and Greg is there standing beside it. We'll have a real-time replay, and this will give you an indication of exactly how hard the car hit.
You can see Lake Speed's car number 83 down on the inside as he lost speed. He really hit that wall hard.
Every race car driver that retires from racing and quits racing ought to come up and watch some race from inside the TV booth, because you'd never go back to it. That's for doggone sure.
It's a lot different up here.
It really is. It's a different ball game up here, folks, than it inside those cars.
Kyle Petty is coming into the pits, and Jack Arute will report on this stop.
The Felix Sabatis team, led by Gary Nelson, is awaiting the positioning of Kyle Petty's peak antifreeze unit in number 42. He has come to a stop. Now they're going to go to the work, as usual, on the outside tires first, while one crew member is exchanging the lug nuts on the inside tires. They're cleaning the windshield. Kyle having a fine run this afternoon. They are now bringing the jack beneath it. Now with Darrell Waltrip as Jerry Punch. What is he doing, Jerry?
Well, they had an excellent pit stop here. Eddie Dickerson, Sandy Jones, and the crew, Jeff Hammond led, had a great pit stop for the Tide cars. He will make his way down pit road, being followed by Earnhardt and a number of other cars, Mark Martin and Harry Gant. But a great stop by the Darrell Waltrip crew here in the Tide effort.
And here they come out of the pits.
And you see them come out of the pits subdued. Normally they've been coming out of the pits just frantic this time, because there is some guys down there in turn one.
It is a lot slower exit from pit road than we've seen earlier in the afternoon. We'll be back after this. Back at Pocono, where the yellow remains on because of the crash down in turn number one. Davey Allison, number 28, the Hamilton Ford, was leading, but now he comes in for a pit stop as they go to work on the right side of that car, checking over the tires and filling it full of fuel. What are they doing, Vinny?
Something's wrong. I don't know what in the world they're doing, but something is wrong. I don't know. We'll have to get somebody over there to check, because I can't imagine what they're trying to figure out.
Well, it might be, Benny, that they're looking. He's run through a lot of debris down there as he goes by Bill Elliott, who's also in the pits, and we'll get back to that in a moment. But he run through a lot of debris down there. They might have been really checking those tires to be sure that they didn't have any metal in them or anything of that nature. Bill Elliott is in the pits in the Coors Ford number 9, and it looks like they're trying to raise the hood on his car as we see the cars go by all the safety equipment down in turn one where the accident was.
Well, the major problem in the next few minutes is going to be repairing this boilerplate once again. Now, Jeff Bodine knocked it down here in the spring. Earlier today, Jimmy Horton knocked it down, and now it has been damaged severely by Greg Sachs. Dick Trickle is going to be shown as the leader of this race. And Dick Trickle is in the lead in concerning rookie points with 167. Larry Pearson second. Hut Strickland is third. Rick Mast with 92 and Ben Hess with 90. Now, Hess has indicated that he is going to devote most of his season to ARCA from now on. So Trickle, Pearson, and Hut Strickland appear to be the ones in the real battle for the rookie. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who can tell us about Lake Speed.
Well, gentlemen, I've been up with the Lake Speed crew here up pit road and talking to him, and apparently Lake had radioed to his crew chief, Robert Harrington, that he's complaining of some pain in his shoulder. He is awake and alert, and apparently took quite a tumble over there and quite an impact, but he is apparently going to be okay, other than the fact that he is complaining of possibly an injury to his shoulder, which I'm sure will be checked out and possibly x-rayed here in the infield care center.
Well, you'll remember last race we did at Daytona, Lake Speed was the one that took the tumble down the track. This time he's involved in the crash, but it was Greg Sachs who took a series of barrel rolls down the track in corner number 1. We are back at Pocono for the AC Sparkplug 500, which remains under caution. Davey Allison in car number 28 is listed in 20th position as we continue to pan back and show you who's on the racetrack and who's running in what position.
And we're about ready to go back to green as they come back around. A few of those that we have not mentioned yet. Dale Jarrett 1 lap down. Dave Marcus 1 lap down. Neil Bonnet still in the lead lap in the Citgo Ford. Dick Johnson 1 lap down is still out there. So, and the car 04 Bob Chat, who is about 3 laps down, but he's still in the running. Jimmy Means a couple of laps down in the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac, and the car number 2 of
Ernie Irvin.
Ernie Irvin is still out there in the running.
Ernie Irvin had an unscheduled stop. As a matter of fact, he went to the garage area and spent some time in the garage area, but he's back on the racetrack.
So the field gets lined up for the restart here in just a few moments.
They didn't get the, I've been told they did not get the lights fixed down in turn 1, but NASCAR has sent an official down with a yellow flag. Now, Jenkins, how'd you like to have that job?
I hope he gets double pay for hazard duty on that deal.
I'm telling you.
Man.
I hope he don't stand behind that same spot those guys did a little bit ago.
No kidding. Well, the crash we're referring to involved Greg Sachs and Lake Speed, and Sachs hit the wall very hard and took several tumbles down the racetrack. He climbed out okay. Lake Speed is being checked over in the infield care center. However, it isn't a serious situation, at least as far as we have been able to determine. Dr. Jerry Punch, of course, will keep an eye on that situation for us. Well, we're just about to go back to racing, and we will do so on lap number 139. So we still have 61 more laps to go in this 500-miler at Pocono. We'll watch as the field comes down to receive the green flag. Bobby Hillen is the car out front, with Darrell Waltrip in second position. Dale Earnhardt is third. Jeff Bodine in fourth as they begin to go 4 and 5 wide down the straightaway, headed for turn number 1.
But look how quickly they're trying to get back in single file once they hit turn 1.
Dale Jarrett there, the third car in line. He's a lap down. Ironhead Dale Earnhardt is signaling to him, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
He said, get out of the way, boy, let me by.
Dale really has been running good after he lost the lap. The whole right rear quarter panel is gone off of the Hardy's Pontiac. When the tire blew out, that caused him to get a lap down. It blew the side out of the race car, but he's been running pretty decent since then. But he won't hold him up. He'll let him go there. Earnhardt's a little faster, so he moves to the outside and lets him go.
Here comes Dale to the inside. Dale Earnhardt to the inside of Dale Jarrett.
And Darrell Waltrip's on the inside of the 8 car trying to take the lead. Come off turn 3, side by side down the straightaway.
He's got it at the stripe by about a half a car length.
Jeff Bodine on the inside of Dale Earnhardt. The yellow car, that's Jeff Bodine. Can he get in alongside?
Well, Waltrip has the lead. Hillen is second. Jeff Bodine third. Dale Earnhardt in fourth position. And there is Kyle Petty in car number 42, who is fifth.
Kyle has run a very good, strong race.
He sure has.
Mark Martin, the Stroh's light car, trying to get alongside Dale Jarrett, also had a great run this afternoon.
Boy, there's just no clear-cut winner of this thing, is there?
No, there's lots of cars still very capable of winning this race, including that 17 out front.
That's for sure. There's Bodine, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, car number 5. 2 of the Rick Hendrick cars are in the top 3. Then the Chevy Lumina driven by Dale Earnhardt. Now a scramble behind as
Kyle Petty got a little high there. Dale Jarrett went back by him down on the inside. Kyle, I don't know if he's got a problem or what, but several cars moving by Kyle Petty on the inside as they go down the front straightaway.
Including Morgan Shepherd and Rick Wilson. So Kyle may have a problem, or maybe just got a little loose coming out of the corner.
We had mentioned that Neil Bonnet was in the lead lap. He was running, I think, 20th. There's 20 cars still in the lead lap. Neil apparently has lost a cylinder. He's running slow back behind the whole pack of cars. We'll just say that for the Neil Bonnet team.
Rick Wilson making a charge here, and there is Mark Martin in the number 6 and Terry Labonte in the number 11.
When Kyle Petty had his problem just a moment ago, it got Mark Martin all messed up. He got behind some slower cars, and he lost 4 or 5 spots.
Rusty Wallace moving up, passing Kyle Petty. Now Darrell Waltrip has opened up a little bit of a lead. Here's Jack Arue with a comment on Kyle Petty.
Well, Bob, I asked Gary Nelson if he had reported Kyle Petty, that is, if he'd had any sort of a problem. He said no, he's been mum on. And he said that basically when a driver is mum.
Well, obviously a problem with Jack's mic, so we'll try to get the repairs on that made and go back for that report a little bit later from Jack Arute. Now Ken Schrader and Rusty Wallace are nose to tail.
They really were nose to tail. They were just inches apart. But Schrader able to pull Rusty Wallace just a few feet down that back straightaway.
Boy, look how quickly they come up on Jimmy Spencer, but he couldn't make the move down on the inside. Schrader really had to back off to keep from running all over Spencer. That put Rusty Wallace right back on the bumper off Ken Schrader.
This is for 11th position. Jimmy Spencer is in 10th. The battle between Ken Schrader and Rusty Wallace is for 11th. Schrader, once again, eligible for over $100,000 in bonus money from Unocal if he can win this race after taking the pole on Saturday morning here at Pocono.
Schrader moved by on the inside of Spencer, took that spot away. Rusty Wallace not able to get by. Spencer looks on the inside. Wallace comes up. He's going to try Jimmy down the back straightaway.
Wallace moving to the inside of Spencer on Long Pond Straight. Here comes Kyle Petty in car number 42.
Well, let's go back to Jack Arute and see if we can get that report. Jack?
Apparently still having a problem with Jack's equipment. Kyle Petty running behind Jimmy Spencer.
You can see how many cars are running very, very close together, and those cars are fighting for position.
Our leader, the orange car, number 17, Darrell Walter, followed closely by Jeff Bodine, the yellow car.
Waltrip now with about a 4-car length advantage on Jeff Bodine, and the Rick Hendrick cars are first and second here in the AC Spark Plug 500. We'll be right back. 145 of 200 laps completed. Darrell Waltrip leads the AC Spark Plug 500 with Jeff Bodine second, Dale Earnhardt third, Morgan Shepherd fourth, and Harry Gant running in fifth. There are Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Bodine. Here are the cars that have dropped out of competition. Larry Pearson, Alan Kowicki, Richard Petty, Hut Strickland, Sterling Marlin. Also out, Derek Cope, Joe Ruttman, Jimmy Horton because of a crash. He's okay. Eddie Vershwalen, Ricky Rudd. Greg Sachs and Lake Speed were involved in a terrific accident down in turn number 1 in which Greg Sachs barrel rolled down the racetrack. Both of them are okay. Michael Waltrip has also dropped out of competition. Jerry Punch with a comment on our leader, Darrell Waltrip.
Gentlemen, you have to wonder about Darrell Waltrip's concentration a little bit today, given the fact that he was awakened at early wee hours this morning with the information we've already mentioned about his mother, Margaret, with that stroke she had, and now is intensive care in Owensboro, Kentucky. I spoke to Darrell about 6:30 this morning. We left the hotel. He and his wife, Cindy, and daughter, Jessica, and his chin was dragging the ground. He did not want to be here in a race car. He wanted to be at the airport, headed back to Owensboro, but he had a job to do. Just before he climbed in the car, just before the race began, he put a call into the hospital. And what I was told just a moment ago was that he was told that his mother was awake and alert. They were going to sedate her so she could get some rest. They're going to keep her informed throughout the day about what's happening with the race. And I got to believe that Margaret and Leroy and the people back there at the hospital are going to be pretty happy with what Darrell's doing right now. Darrell's trying to hang on to the lead, but apparently Bodine is making a move.
Indeed he is on the front straightaway on the inside. Jeff Bodine is making the move, and certainly all of our best wishes to Darrell and Michael's mom. But Jeff Bodine has taken over the lead from Darrell, and another lead change.
And look at Dale Earnhardt, that Goodwrench Chevrolet right behind, right on Darrell Waltrip's bumper. 3 cars, 3 Chevrolets, bumper to bumper.
We have had 23 lead changes, and we've still got 60 laps to go. 13 different leaders. Here's Harry Gant and Rusty Wallace. From out back of Harry's car, you can see Rusty moving to the inside and passing rather easily, it appeared.
Gant quickly gets back down to the inside of the racetrack after Rusty was able to get by, and he said, maybe I can just draft this fellow up towards the front a little bit. He's not that far behind, and he said, maybe I can just pick up the draft and ride up to the front.
Harry Gant, 7th spot. Not able to get back to the front. Mark Martin looks on the inside of the Morgan Shepherd car. He's not able to get by.
There are Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt running in second and third position as they chase Jeff Bodine. Morgan Shepherd is back there in the Valvoline Pontiac.
Bodine has been able to pull away just a little bit from Darrell Waltrip after he made the pass.
There's Rusty Wallace trying to catch up, and there's Harry Gant also trying to do the same.
Well, Rusty has pulled away, and here's Mark Martin trying to move on the inside of Morgan Shepherd. That is for position, Bob.
Oh, Morgan way up high on the racetrack as Mark Martin tries to go into fourth, and he does. Mark Martin goes to fourth. Morgan Shepherd at fifth, and we've got 50 more circuits to go.
I tell you something, that Stroh's Light T-Bird running extremely well today. Oh, Terry Labonte down pit road, unscheduled pit stop for the Budweiser Ford.
Tim Brewer and the Junior Johnson crew will go to work on the Budweiser Ford for Terry Labonte. He stops.
Well, we're just watching from the inside and the outside. He must have had a flat tire. They're going to the right side of the Budweiser Ford. He can do that. Here's Rusty Wallace taking another position, moving around Morgan Shepherd as Terry Labonte gets that service. He's still in the pits while we watch this race out on the racetrack. Now Terry Labonte has moved away, so he will stay in the lead lap as Rusty Wallace makes the march towards the front. Here's Labonte coming back out of the pits.
Well, Ned, the reason they had such a problem getting him restarted after they exchanged the tires, remember, he has a clutch problem. The clutch is given out, so they have to stop the car and actually push start it to get it going again.
Well, that makes it tough, especially on a green flag pit stop.
That's right, because he's going to have to start in high gear, and they got to push him off, and it's a very slow process getting the car back to top speed.
Watching Morgan Shepherd in car number 75 and Harry Gant at number 33 as they battle for sixth position. Morgan Shepherd has been one of those that we haven't talked a whole lot about this afternoon, but now we find him in the top 5.
You're right.
Yep, he was black flagged, as Benny mentioned earlier, for jumping the flag and made an unscheduled pit stop for tires, but has fought his way back. He's done a great job.
We're inside Harry Gant's car, and we're watching Morgan Shepherd just ahead in the Valvoline Pontiac. Look at the car dance through the corner, and the car getting a little bit high, exiting the corner, and Harry Gant looking for the opportunity to go into sixth place. We'll be right back. For the moment, things have kind of settled down into a single file chase as everyone is trying to close in on Jeff Bodine, who's the leader of the race. Darrell Waltrip is running second, and Dale Earnhardt is third.
In the fourth position is Mark Martin. Rusty Wallace is fifth. Harry Gant sixth. Morgan Shepherd seventh.
And those 7 cars are not separated by very much.
You can see them all in the picture.
Been 31 races since Jeff Bodine won. His last was here at Pocono. Competing with a broken leg suffered at this very racetrack less than or just about a month ago. Here's Harry Gant and Morgan Shepherd, 6th and 7th position. Within about a car length of Bodine. They're the first 5, and then a little bit of racetrack back to 6th and 7th. Darrell Waltrip. This is the most unique oval we have in the NASCAR series. We asked Darrell, how difficult is it to set up a race car for this tri-oval?
It's just different. I think what happens to you is you get into a situation where you run the same kind of racetrack week in and week out, and so you haven't, you sort of anticipate what that racetrack's going to be like. I've been coming here a long time. I have never felt like I figured this place out. One race, I kind of get to where I get across the tunnel turn good, but I can't get through 1 and 1 down here good. Or I get where I can get through 3 and out on the front good. It seems like there's always something different about this racetrack, and I think it's probably a mindset because it's banked on one end, flat on the other, 3 turns, kind of odd racetrack, that I think you really concentrate on figuring out one part of it and forget the rest of it.
Well, he has figured it out twice in his life as he won the 500-mile races here in 1981 and in 1978. 22 Pocono starts for Darrell Waltrip and 2 wins. And Mark Martin now really putting the pressure on Dale Earnhardt for 3rd position.
Well, Earnhardt was really putting the pressure on Darrell Waltrip for 2nd as it came off of that turn. And that let Mark get up there and get into battle as well. So they are really going at it here for this first 4 positions. They moved back. We mentioned earlier that Bodine had pulled away from Waltrip. Now he's moved right back up on him.
Let's go down to Jack Arute, who is with, and we're very glad to see this, Greg Sachs.
Well, what a way, Greg Sachs, to initiate a brand new sponsor dinner bell into Winston Cup racing. I have never seen a crash like that in a long time here. You're okay. That's good news.
Yeah, I'm fine, Jack. And I'd like to tell everybody back at Defiance, back at Dinner Bell, we're doing fine, and we'll see you up at Michigan. Everything's going great here. Our team will bounce back. Lake Speed out there is doing fine. I've talked to him. I've let all his fans know. And all my fans back in Mattatuck, New York, you know, we're doing fine. Food Line people, we're glad to have your support, and we'll be back at Michigan.
What went through your mind when you were going end over end down there?
Well, Jack, you know, I thought it was never going to stop, and I was just hoping to God that another car wouldn't hit me, let's say in a roof or something. And, you know, I could see the fire. Then once it did stop, of course, you know, fate would have it, it'd be on your roof. And the oil was running right down under me. I don't know if you saw me shaking my hand when I got out, because when I had to brace myself to take my belts off, I had to put my hand down in a hot oil. And, you know, that window opening only looked like it was about 6 inches, but I come out of there like a snake. Nope.
Yeah, but you came out without your helmet, too. And then the first thing you did is you ran down to look after Lake Speed.
Well, when I got out, the first thing I did was look up, and I could see that there was no traffic coming. And I looked at Lake's car, and I could see that he was sitting in there, and he was still. So I wanted to get right down there and see how he was doing. And he spoke to me right away. He wasn't unconscious or anything at any time. He was doing fine. I helped him get his steering wheel off, and then disconnected his radio and that stuff, and said he wanted his helmet off, so I helped him get that off. And right from the beginning, he told me he felt like he might have broke his shoulder blade. Just not to move him. He's going to need some help to get out of the car.
Well, that's still good news. Both drivers are at least okay. One has walked away, and meanwhile, as we've been talking here, we've been watching great action by Mark Martin and company. It looks like he's getting a little racy, gentlemen.
Well, he was, Jack. He put some real pressure on Dale Earnhardt there for a couple of moments, but now has slipped back just a little bit from Dale and is still in 4th position. So we have got some real good stuff going on here, and we've still got about 48 laps to go before the end of the AC Spark Plug 500. Another lead change, the 24th of the afternoon. Darrell Waltrip has gone into the lead, passing Jeff Bodine, and now Rusty Wallace begins to challenge Dale Earnhardt for 3rd position. Here they come into the first turn, and Rusty has 3rd.
Rusty has come from pretty far back in the field and has caught the lead patch, picking them off one at a time. He, I believe, is the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
That was a heck of a job by Rusty Wallace, because he made a stop just to make sure that he could go on fuel with one more pit stop and had to go back, I don't know, 15th, 18th position. He's back up to 3rd spot.
Well, Mark Martin, we noticed, who was at one time challenging Earnhardt for 3rd, has now slipped back to 5th position. Jack, what might be the problem?
Bob, they think that he may have a tire going soft, and what they're trying to do is talk him down to about lap 166. They figured it out that if he can just hold on till about the 167th circuit, they can make their final stop, take on 4 new Goodyear tires, and go to the checkered flag. But it's a handful, as you drivers can attest to up topside, to try and run a car with a tire that's going flat.
No question about it. When you go into a turn, you're very concerned about how flat is that tire.
Now, we'll go back and show you how Darrell Waltrip got the lead from Jeff Bodine, and it was in pretty impressive form.
Sure was. He uses the draft off Jimmy Means' Alka-Seltzer Pontiac to get alongside Jeff, and they race down that long front straightaway. When they get to turn 1, Darrell Waltrip has the preferred line.
And so that's how Darrell Waltrip took the lead a couple of laps ago and continues to maintain that position, although Jeff Bodine is knocking on the door. And there's Rusty Wallace not too far behind in 3rd position. At one point we had Chevys running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, but now it's Chevy, and Pontiac, and then Chevy, and then Ford.
Look at Rusty Wallace. He moves up right on the back bumper of Jeff Bodine, but unable to pull alongside to get inside Jeff going out in turn 1.
Just to show you how competitive this race has been, no driver has led more than 13 consecutive laps. And as I indicated, we've had 24 lead changes among 13 different competitors. Wallace now right on the back bumper of Bodine.
They're coming up on Dick Trickle, who's still running in the lead lap, but Dick has lost a cylinder, I think, on the car number 84, the Buick, and he's the last car in the lead lap, currently running in 19th position, but they're about to put a lap on him as he is running around on 7 cylinders.
Rusty Wallace is just driving the wheels off this car. Very often gets the rear end hung out a little bit coming off the corners.
Did you say how much? Very often? Almost every lap.
Well, gentlemen, Darrell Waltrip last pitted on lap 129. Now, if you calculate fuel very closely here, remember that car gets awfully good fuel mileage. Have to remember what happened at the season opening event in Daytona. They figure they could go maybe 40 to 41 laps. That would be around lap 170 or 171. That's just about 7 or 8 laps from now before they would have to come in and make what should be their final fuel stop. So we'll see how it plays out for Darrell Waltrip and the Tide crew. They're trying to hang on right now. They would like to be able to make this final stop possibly under yellow. Now I have to rush things here on pit road, but they'll take what they can get. It's about 30 laps to go. They should come in for their final stop.
One thing you don't want to do at Pocono is run out of fuel, because it is a 2.5-mile racetrack and you don't carry enough speed. If you should run out of fuel down in turn 1, you don't have enough speed to get back to the pit. So you've got to be awfully careful not to run out of fuel.
Davey Allison ran out of fuel in the June race here and ended up over there near the second turn, and that pretty much eliminated him from any chance of winning.
Exactly.
Waltrip, Bodine, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt. First, second, third, and fourth.
Bobby's running around the racetrack now in about a minute. The last lap was 59.99. The lap before that was a minute and 10 seconds. Rick Wilson is in the pits right now, one of the drivers in the lead lap. And boy, he overshot his pits, got sideways. But the crew has caught up to him. Jerry, they're going to be able to make that stop okay?
Well, it's going to be awfully tough. Rick Wilson just barely got the car stopped as he almost skittered into Tony Glover. His crew chief had knocked the signboard out of Glover's hand. They are trying to hold the car to get every last drop of fuel. And now Wilson's car stalls as it comes off the jack. He gets it refired. He will have to back it up because the car was actually pointed in towards pit wall, costing him a lot of valuable time. Now he can't get the car in gear. Apparently,
no, something's broken on the front end. He can't steer the car, Jerry.
He's trying to get the car turned. It's turned in toward pit wall. He jammed the brakes on. They're trying to look beneath the car. What a tough break for Rick Wilson and the Kodak team.
And Mark Martin is coming in for a pit stop. As the leaders come down, Mark Martin flanks off to the left and enters pit road. Jack Arute is there to call this stop by Mark Martin.
The Stroh's Light crew is awaiting Mark Martin. He comes to a stop. The team goes to work, taking the right side tires off, loosening the left side lug nuts, getting ready for a forward tire change. We alluded to the fact that he may have a tire going soft. They hope that this will be their final stop of the afternoon. Jack Roush has instructed the gas man to keep the tanks in as long as they can. 17+ seconds so far. I asked Roush if they would be able to go the distance with this stop. He said after Daytona, I don't know.
Came in and they changed that. We thought it was a routine pit stop. Here's Earnhardt coming into the pits, and Rusty Wallace trying to take over second spot.
At the line, they're side by side. Rusty Wallace to the inside and Bodine to the outside. We'll watch them go into turn number 1. It's Darrell Waltrip leading. The battle for second position goes to Rusty Wallace. Jeff falls to third, and Dale Earnhardt is on pit road.
National champion pit crew going to work on the Earnhardt machine. He has changed runs on the car. He is down and away. Just a quick update on the Rick Wilson car. He had broken a tie rod in the left front of the car when he jammed the brakes on and the wheel was turned to the left. It snapped the tie rod, one of the front suspension parts. They are trying to get it repaired, but he is losing a lot of valuable time. What a tough break for the Morgan LeFleur team.
Well, Jerry, we say it's a tough break, but I tell you, it might be a good break if that tie rod was that near to breaking and it came as a result of locking the brakes up in the pits. He's very lucky that it didn't happen out on the racetrack.
Good point.
Exactly. I tell you what, we're playing out some different strategy here at the end of the race. Mark Martin stopped in the Stroh's Light T-Bird, changed 4 tires. And then Dale Earnhardt in the Goodwrench Chevrolet came in. They changed 2 tires, the right side. Now, what are these 3 cars going to do? Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Bodine, are they going to change 2 or are they going to change 4?
We should know in a few minutes as they will need one more pit stop here within the next few laps. Make sure they have enough to go the distance. But a great competitive race we're seeing.
Bobby Hillen, another of the cars in the lead lap, and a former leader of this race, is in the pits for what should be his final pit stop as we watch that battle up front. Rusty Wallace get a little squirrely there off the turn.
Whoa, I almost spun out again. I tell you, I see these guys get sideways, and I start trying to correct for them, and I don't have enough room to do it up in this booth.
Let's see if anybody chooses to come in for a pit stop.
Rusty is.
Rusty is.
How many tires, Bob? Tell me quick. 2 or 4?
I think you'll take 4.
2.
Okay, we'll see.
Jack Groom is going to tell us.
Harold Elliott has the carboard up. They take the 2 tires off to the right side. So far, no one is electing to change the lugs on the left side. It looks, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, and Bob Jenkins, as if it will be a simple 2-tire stop. They're filling the fuel tanks right now. 1 tank is in, 2nd tank is in. 12.9 seconds for the Kodiak car.
Now you see how much I know about it.
Well,
I thought they'd take on 4. Good call there, Bob.
One of the first times I've ever been right in one of these races. So Rusty moving back now, getting up to speed. And now the battle is between Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Bodine. The 2 Chevy Luminas, 2 of the 3 from the Rick Hendrick stable, are 1st and 2nd.
And just as an update, Rusty Wallace has about a half a back straightaway on Dale Earnhardt.
Here comes Jeff. Jeff Bodine in the 5 cars coming in for a stop, leaving his teammate to cross the line in the lead. And let's go down for a call of this stop.
The Levi Garrett Chevrolet Lumina comes to a stop. Waddell Wilson gives the signal, takes the board back over the wall. The engine being revved. Wilson rifling off the front grill area. They are changing right side tires only. 9 seconds plus, 10 seconds plus, and up to 11. The fuel tank is full at 12.6 seconds, but only right side tires.
Good stop for Jeff Bodine. You can see Morgan Shepherd also pitted back there behind Rick Wilson. Morgan running in the top 10.
Okay, now these guys, if Bodine, Jim Sauter has fun trying to make his pit stop in the Bob Toulis automobile. They push him away from the pit wall, and he gets right in.
Well, he's going to back up, I guess. I thought maybe go ahead and take another lap. I'm not sure he knows what he wants to do. Maybe the car is in front of him.
He's not sure that he can do that. He just doesn't know what he can do. Here's Darrell Waltrip coming into the pits, the leader coming into the pits, and Jerry Punch will be there ready for it.
Darrell Waltrip brings the Tide Chevrolet in to a halt, the Tide Lumina. And also, Harry Gant pitting right in front of Walter's crew, goes to work on the right side. Jeff Hammond up the jack beneath the car. Eddie Dickerson rips the right front tire off. Likewise, Sandy Jones and Bill Wilbert and crew working on the right rear. Right front tire replaced. The windshield has been cleaned. Keeping an eye on the clock here. Walter, 13 seconds. Walter down and away. Likewise, great stop for Harry Gant and Stone Crew. They shuffle off toward turn 1.
And that is going to put in the lead the number 9 car, Bill Elliott. You know, one thing that you got to give Pocono International Raceway credit for is the size of this the pit area. It's perhaps the longest on the trail, and they've got a lot of room to work down there in the pit.
They really do. There's plenty of room on
the car we see on the screen now is Ken Schrader, the Folgers Chevrolet, our pole sitter. He's second place. He has a chance to pick up a bonus, $106,400, if he can win the race today.
And when Darrell Waltrip was in the pits, Davey Allison made a pit stop as well. Bill Elliott, I believe it's the first time today that he's led the race.
It is indeed. So he's our 14th leader. Jack Arute is on pit road to call the stop. Ken Schrader.
Ken Schrader of Benton, Missouri brings his car to a stop. The Folgers coffee machine brewing quite nicely right now as they go to work on the right side. Now this team is going to change left side tires as well. Well, actually, they're not. They went down and they tightened the rear lug nuts on the left side, but they have elected not to change, but right side tires. His stop is very quick, takes on a full tank of gas, and he's back out on the racetrack.
Schrader has completed the service on his car that should put him through the checkered flag, and of course Ken hopes it will be the checkered flag first. Now it's Darrell Waltrip, Harry Gant.
Well, the fellow who came out ahead of this pit stop is Rusty Wallace. He came out in front, and Jeff Bodine second. Darrell Waltrip was the 3rd car out of. Now our leader, Bill Elliott, is coming in the pit area, and Jerry Punch is in his pit.
The defending champion of the AC Sparkplug 500 brings the red and white Coors Motorcraft milling car to a halt, and Dan Elliott and crew go to work. Right side tires going on the car. Right front has already been replaced. 1 can of fuel in, 2nd can of fuel goes in. Great pit stop. Elliott, outstanding stop at the end of the crew. His car is down and away.
Boy,
Well, that was an outstanding pit stop. Brett Bodine with the other car among the lead pack that did not stop, but he's in the pits now in the Motorcraft Ford, so I believe that all of the leaders have stopped, and I believe that Rusty Wallace is a man who has come out in front.
Indeed, it gives Rusty Wallace the lead once again. Jeff Bodine is second, Darrell Waltrip third, Harry Gant fourth, Dale Earnhardt is fifth, and Mark Martin is in sixth position. We're set up for a tremendous finish of this AC Spark Plug 500. We'll be right back. We are back at Pocono for the final 27 or so laps of the AC Spark Plug 500. There is the leader, Rusty Wallace, being pursued by second place Jeff Bodine. Running in third position is Darrell Waltrip, and he's closely followed by Harry Gant. And we move inside Gant's Gold Bandit to watch the action ahead.
Not too far behind those two cars. They're running third and fourth is Bill Elliott, who made a tremendous pit stop. He's currently running in the fifth position.
In car number 6 has lost quite a bit of distance on the racetrack because he changed 4 tires during the most recent set of pit stops, and most everybody else changed 2. Jack, why?
Well, remember, Bob, they reported that possibly he had a tire going down, so they had to go for 4 tires because they weren't sure which tire went down. Steve Meal, you called the shots. Was there a tire going soft?
Yeah, we had a left rear going down. Mark said the car was driving real bad, so we figured it's only about 6 or 7 extra seconds to change 4 versus 2 when you wait on the gas man. So we said, what the heck, let's get 4 good tires on and try to win this thing instead of just changing 2 and having to come back, or even if there wasn't a flat, we want to win. We're not interested in running second.
But it looks like the roll of the dice may have come up craps for you today because everybody else is beginning to pull away from Mark.
Well, I don't know so much about that. We're catching the 3 car, we're catching the 17 car. The trouble with auto racing is there's not but one winner, and who runs second don't make any difference.
I think that just about says it all, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up the situation for Mark Martin. Well, who is going to win this race? Boy, it could be one of about 6 or 7 drivers. We'll come back after this. We are at record pace concerning the number of cars finishing on the lead lap. The record is 13, and right now we've got 15 that are on the lead lap. And the leader of the race is Rusty Wallace here in car number 27. Right behind him is second place Jeff Bodine. Perhaps, gentlemen, as we watch Bill Elliott in third, Harry Gant in fourth, and Darrell Waltrip in fifth, the fastest car on the racetrack might be Bill Elliott as Dale Earnhardt comes in for an unscheduled pit stop.
Yeah, this would definitely be an unscheduled pit stop. Jack Caruth, what's going on there?
Well, again, they think that Dale Earnhardt has a tire going soft. You know, Jerry Punch told you early in the race, the rocks that come up and begin to cut the tires, well, this seems to be causing problems now. They go to the left sides. He stalls the cars. He tries to restart it. Does it quickly, but this is costly.
Boy, this could sure tighten up the Winston Cup. This is our Winston Cup leader, Dale Earnhardt. And if they do not have a caution flag, these cars finish. He can finish 10 to 12. Rusty Wallace, Darrell Waltrip gained some valuable ground on him today.
Yeah, Wallace, Waltrip, Martin, and Elliott, who are second, third, fourth, and fifth in points, are all running right up front. And now that could have been a very serious blow to Dale Earnhardt in terms of points. There's first and second coming down, but I was mentioning that perhaps one of the fastest cars on the racetrack at this point in the event is Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott has been moving, no question about it. We went away for a commercial break. He was running in 5th place. When he came back, he was running 3rd, and had passed 2 of the fastest cars on the track, Harry Gant and Darrell Waltrip. So he is moving along, but now Harry Gant has moved around Darrell Waltrip and is following Bill Elliott. So Gant running in the 4th place. We can see Bill Elliott out in front of him there, who is running in 3rd place. Bill Elliott is 4 seconds behind the leader, Rusty Wallace. So we'll check that interval as we run a few more laps. There is Rusty Wallace in the lead. Jeff Bodine in the car number 5. You can see about 10, 12 car lengths behind him.
And they're running out of time. 20 laps to go. 50 miles. That's all.
Quite a separation between first, second, and back to third as there are 20 laps to go. You know, I was just thinking we were seeing those excellent in-car camera pictures. We mentioned on Speed Week what NASA, the space industry, has given us celebrating the 20th anniversary of the walk on the moon. And one of the things is the miniaturization that allows us to put an in-car camera in a race car, giving us those tremendous pictures. We'll be back in just a moment. Back at Pocono, where Rusty Wallace leads Jeff Bodine and Bill Elliott in the AC Spark Plug 500. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to decide who you think is going to win this race. There are 5 or 6 cars that are very capable of doing so, and we're going to give you our opinions. Ned, who do you think is going to take the checkered flag here?
Bill Elliott is gaining on those front 2, and I believe that if it goes green, I think he's got a whale of a shot at winning this race, even though he's right now about 3.5 seconds behind, and that's awfully hard to make up. But I'm going to go really on a long shot and say that Bill Elliott's going to catch those guys and pass them.
Okay, Benny?
I really and truly don't have a clue. But to be consistent with what I said Thursday night on Speed Week that Rusty Wallace would win, and he has given me a heck of a run for my money. So, Rusty, I'll hang in there with you, buddy.
All right, Jerry Punch on pit road.
I tell you, Bill Elliott's running so strong right now, and I have to agree with Ned Jarrett. Elliott just radioed to his crew and said that he is so excited about how well the car is running. They are just tickled that they have been working on the chassis setup all day, and they have made some minor adjustments, and he is catching them now lap by lap as Mark Martin makes a move on Darrell Waltrip. But Elliott, I guess, even though he hadn't been the strong horse all day, they've all been chasing Bodine and Wallace. I'm going to go with the long shot and say it's going to be Elliott.
Okay, you're watching Harry Gant, the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip, and the 6 car of Mark Martin as it gets the left side wheels off the pavement once again, fighting for 5th and 6th position. Jack Arute, how about you?
Well, Bob Jenkins, we've seen this movie in black and white before. Bill Elliott having early race problems, going a lap down as we watch it. Harry Gant from inside his car and taking a look at Darrell Waltrip. And he's come back to win. He knows how to do it. The crew was not flustered when they came in early and having to make that exchange on that tire. They've battled all afternoon. They've been very quiet, going about their business. My pick is the same as yours, topside. I'm going to pull for Bill Elliott. I think he's going to score the victory.
And Bob is going to go with the 2nd place runner right now, Jeff Bodine. So, it's still a good battle here among Gant, Mark Martin, and Darrell Waltrip, although Darrell seems to be falling back a little.
Yes, he does. Harry Gant has moved around him, and that happened a little while ago. Now Mark Martin has caught him and moved around. Mark Martin might be one of the fastest race cars on the track, but he made that 4-tire change and was pretty far back, so he's had a lot of catching up to do, but he certainly is moving very fast. Elliott continues to gain a little bit. A while ago, it was 4 seconds behind. Now it's down to about 3.3 seconds as Terry Labonte makes his last pit stop. Remember, he got out of sync when he had a flat tire and had to come in. So Terry is still out there running, has been in the lead lap.
And look at Bodine. He's closed up. Rusty Wallace caught some traffic, and able Jeff Bodine to pull up right on his rear bumper.
Making Bob Jenkins look pretty good here right at the moment as he picked Jeff Bodine. And I don't think that's certainly not a long shot by any means.
Well, Bodine was 11th. Or make that Jeff Bodine, looking at the wrong Bodine here in my notes. Jeff Bodine's top 10 finishes this year, or top 5 finishes, have been at Darlington and Bristol, 3rd and 4th. He was in the top 5 at Rockingham and also at Atlanta. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Dan Elliott.
Well, gentlemen, let's check in and see what they have done to Bill Elliott's car to make the car so competitive all of a sudden. Dan, what are the major adjustments you guys made in that last pit stop?
Well, we've been working with the car all day. At the first of the race, it was pushing. We've been on one extreme to the other, pushing loose. And we've finally been working with Wedge and Steiger, and we've got it where he likes it. Had a good pit stop.
Trouble over coming off of turn 2, going into turn 3. Jeff Bodine is spun out.
Jeff Bodine is in trouble, and so much for Bob's prediction. Bodine is in the infield grass, gets back onto the racetrack. I don't know whether it's going to cause a caution or not.
So far, no caution flag. No caution flag so far. Boy, that's a tough break for Bodine if you'd sit there. But, you know, you don't want to do that. Jeff Bodine gets the car back going again. Let's see. Is he going in the pits?
I believe he is.
Yes, he is. Down pit road.
Apparently has a flat tire on that car, and Bill Elliott has closed the gap to less than 2 seconds on Rusty Wallace. He is coming.
So Jeff Bodine, for the most part, out of contention for the win. Jack Arute is in the Bodine pit.
What a disappointment for the Levi Garrett team, led by Waddell Wilson out of the Hendrick Motor Racing stable. The crew has gone to work on the right side, changing the tires. They are going to change the left sides as well, because after that spin, they've certainly flat spotted the tires. They're making the change. This will drop him out of the hunt, supposedly, possibly for the win, but they are completely working. He drops the jack, he lights up the tires, and he's away.
He's going to be able to stay in the same lap. If there should be a caution flag, he'll be able to stay in the same lap. But if it goes green, his chance of victory gone away.
Oh, look at the tight stuff going on here between Harry Gant and Mark Martin.
For the last lap, Bill Elliott lost a little time to Rusty Wallace. He ran in behind Jimmy Spencer going into turn 2 over there and just had to really get on the brakes. He thought he was going to get under him, but Spencer used the low side of the racetrack, and Elliott lost about a quarter of a second that last lap, so that hurt him.
Look at Mark. He's got the rear end of that car hung out well. He's in third position. Well, he was in third, and now Harry Gant is bidding for that spot. They're side by side. And here comes Darrell Waltrip. Oh, yeah. Into the tunnel turn. Martin comes out with the advantage. Gant second and Waltrip third. Whew.
Darrell, you're too old for that, son. I'll tell you.
Hey, those boys are racing.
Wow. This is for third position now. The leader is Rusty Wallace, and second place is Bill Elliott. So it's third, fourth, and fifth right here. Meanwhile, back up front, it is Rusty Wallace completing another lap. That's lap number 188. We've got 12 more circuits to go. And here's what happened to Jeff Bodine.
Well, he ran in hard there on Rusty Wallace. It looks like he lost it and couldn't get it back. Spun it around. He might have had a tire going down, and of course he did come in and change tires, so he might have cut a tire, and that caused him to lose it, and of course probably killed any chance that he has of winning this race.
Jeff Bodine remains on the lead lap and falls into 13th position, but a tough break for the guy who suffered a pretty bad crash here 5 weeks ago in this Pocono race and was very much in contention for the lead when he spun, or did almost a spin, coming off of corner number 2.
I think you call it a spin.
There's Rusty leading, but he knows that Bill Elliott has a very fast race car and is closing in. There is Bill, not too far behind. Here's Harry Gant and Darrell Waltrip trying to move around Jimmy Means.
And Mark Martin has gone completely from the picture. He's up way in front of Harry Gant, 15 car lengths in front of him.
There is Mark, followed by Harry Gant and Darrell Waltrip. Third, fourth, and fifth. Darrell led several laps of this race. Now finds himself back in fifth. He's been one of 14 leaders that we have had in the running of this 500-miler at Pocono. Now he closes in on Harry. And as they head for turn number 3, Waltrip may be looking to take over that spot from Harry. We go inside his car. And watch Darrell move to the outside, coming off this corner and onto the straightaway. Waltrip is going for it, and he, I believe, successfully passes and goes to 4th place.
Let's see, he's got to get alongside Harry Gant. Are they side by side?
That really was far enough by to get down on the inside. And meanwhile, up front, Rusty Wallace sees his lead dwindling away. He can see Bill Elliott coming up in his rearview mirror. It is less than 1 second.
And there are less than 10 laps to go. 190 laps have been completed, and the leader is on the north straightaway. There's second place, Bill Elliott. Does he have enough to close in and take the lead from Rusty Wallace? We'll be right back. We hope you're enjoying today's live coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. From Pocono International Raceway in Pennsylvania, the AC Spark Plug 500. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. By Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. And by Buick and your Buick dealer. The great American road belongs to Buick. The race is in its last 7 laps. Rusty Wallace is the leader, but look how close Bill Elliott is. He has essentially caught Rusty Wallace and now will try to take over the lead. With less than 7 laps to go, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott. Who's going to win in the next few minutes here at Pocono?
Well, he has come from 4 seconds down to Rusty Wallace, less than a half a second separating them right now. But, as we've said so many times, catching him is one thing, passing him is another.
State Police estimating the crowd here at Pocono at over 100,000. Every grandstand seat was sold, and not a one of them are being occupied now. You know?
No, they're all standing on their feet, waving for their favorite driver, be it Rusty Wallace or Bill Elliott.
Rusty looked like he got just a little bit squirrely as he came off of that turn. Elliott's car working good off of turn 3, and that's where he perhaps needs to make his move. We can see Terry Labonte back there in the picture. Terry just went a lap down. He moved over and let the leaders go. Didn't even fight them for a moment. He let them go at it.
Rusty,
high there.
He got sideways, getting in that corner. Drove it in a little bit too hard, trying his best to win this race. And Elliott, his rear end slips coming off that corner.
I think the racetrack is slick for one thing, Benny, and then their left side tires, even though they have better left side than some of those that are running behind them because they came in during the last caution to put on 4 tires, but the left side tires are getting very slick and hot.
Here's it. Oh, Rusty's really got it hung out, and here comes Elliott on the inside. That may have been the move that he needed. Rusty has lost the lead to Bill Elliott, losing the control of the car just momentarily. The rear end getting a little bit sideways, and Bill Elliott sweeps by and takes the lead. Now the question is, can he hold it for the next 5 laps? That's lap number 195 complete.
What a move. Rusty Wallace almost losing it down in turn 1, goes to turn 2 and slips again. That might lead you to believe something is wrong with the car when somebody like Rusty Wallace has a problem 2 corners in a row.
Yeah,
there we
look
see
there,
him fighting the car.
Yeah, he's fighting it again. Either his left tires are worn out and the car's gotten loose on him, or he's overdriving it, or a combination of all.
Or he has a flat tire. It could be he's run over a stone.
Third place, meanwhile, belongs to Mark Martin in another fine performance by the Batesville, Arkansas driver for Jack Roush. And running in 4th position at the moment is the number 17 car driven by Darrell Waltrip, and completing the top 5 would be Harry Gant. Now you can see the interval between 1st and 2nd position as Bill Elliott stretches out the advantage even more. Coming down to complete lap number 196, we've got 4 more laps to go. Bill Elliott has won 1 race so far in 1989. That was at the Michigan 400 not too long ago, looking for victory number 2 and his 3rd win here at Pocono. Make that his 4th win here at Pocono.
Look at Rusty. One more time, losing the back end, getting down in turn 1, driving that car for everything he's got.
Yep, he sure is. And I think Elliott right now, his car is working just a little bit better. And he certainly has some power on the straightaways, too. He's not only working in the turns. As we say in racing, he's handling down the straightaway.
Yes, he is.
Let's go to Jack.
Look at Rusty. Almost lost it one more time coming off that tunnel corner.
Jack, you have a comment about Rusty.
Well, I asked Barry Dodson what was it. Was maybe the handles go away on the car, or was maybe Rusty overdriving it? And all he said is, hey, it's not over yet. Rusty is just flat driving that car as hard as he possibly can. The track is very slick. They're pleased with the way the car's set up. It's just a very good Winston Cup race right now.
I'm telling you, he has come so close to crashing in the last 3 laps that I wouldn't even want to count him.
He best settle that thing down and try to get second out of this before he winds up into the walls.
Yeah, he can't catch Bill Elliott right now.
3 more laps to go.
I think that's what he's going to do. He's going through that turn a little bit easier, though, even though the back end got out. His right rear tire, Benny, might be low on that car.
It very well could be. The man hates to lose. You can see that, folks, by by the way that he came off the tunnel corner and turned through.
We showed you a graphic very early in the program about how the points have changed since Charlotte. Bill Elliott was 10th in points when the Charlotte race was completed in May. He went into this race in 5th position in the points, and he stands to pick up some today. And if he should win, he would move into 4th spot. And this would also be his 4th win here at Pocono, and he would tie Tim Richmond for most wins at this facility. He comes down and completes lap number 198. We've got 2 more circuits to go.
Boy, he has driven some kind of a race, and after they changed those tires the last time around, he really has come on strong.
He's got Rick Wilson right ahead of him. Here comes Rusty Wallace in 2nd position, but losing ground. And it looks like at this point it's Bill Elliott's race.
Moves up on Rick Wilson, who is many laps down. Rick's going to move down out of the way, give him plenty of racing room.
Elliott into the tunnel turn again. There's Rusty, still driving the car just as hard as he can in pursuit.
I tell you what, watching Rusty come off that tunnel corner has been a thrill the last few laps.
I'm telling you.
He's driven it, there's no doubt about that. He's manhandled.
The defending Winston Cup champion. Look at the crowd on its feet, waving their hats. Some for Bill Elliott, some for Rusty Wallace. The white flag is out. There's 1 more lap to go. Will Bill Elliott be able to hold on for the next 2.5 miles and win the AC Sparkplug 500? The interval showing the difference between Bill Elliott, the leader, and 2nd place Rusty Wallace as Rusty gets the left side tires off the racetrack again. Bill Elliott swings out of corner number 1 and down the Long Pond straightaway, 3,055 feet in length. Wallace, it appears, is going to have to settle for 2nd position as 1 car separates Elliott and Rusty Wallace right now, that being Rick Wilson. Bill Elliott moves on to the north straightaway. He is approaching the 3rd and final corner of this racetrack. The number 9 Coors Melling Ford is on the 6-degree banking of turn number 3. He comes off the straightaway, the crowd on its feet. Here comes Bill Elliott for the final few feet, and he wins the AC Sparkplug 500. Bill Elliott with his 2nd win of the 1989 season. Rusty Wallace finishes in 2nd position. 3rd goes to Mark Martin. 4th is Darrell Waltrip, and 5th position to Harry Gant. And Bill has the hand out the side of the car already, and Jeff Bodine is moving very, very slowly around the racetrack.
A great run for Jeff Bodine. It's a shame that it had to end this way. Sit outside pole, but there's Bill Elliott being congratulated by Rusty Wallace for a great driving job, and he did do that today.
Bill Elliott did not lead this race until the 171st lap. During green flag pit stops, he took over the lead for the final time 5 laps ago, and he wins here at Pocono. The top 10 finishers, Bill Elliott wins. Rusty Wallace was 2nd, then Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip, and Harry Gant finishing 6 through 10. In today's AC Sparkplug 500 here at Pocono, Davey Allison, Ken Schrader, Morgan Shepherd, Dale Earnhardt, and Brett Bodine. We go down to Victory Lane and our winner interview, which is being brought to you by the Die Hard Battery, now with more power when you need it most.
Well, an exhausted Bill Elliott gives a thumbs up here, climbs out of the car, and has to sit down. Bill, an outstanding effort this afternoon. Congratulations.
Well, you know, we kept going to the back, but we never give up, you know, and I kind of counted Rusty and Jeff out there at the end because I didn't feel like I had a chance to ever catch them. And then I kept gaining on them and kept gaining on them. And then finally Jeff got real loose over there and spun out. And then I kept noticing Rusty kept getting looser and looser, especially off turn 3. Kept gaining a little, gaining a little, gaining a little, and finally over in the tunnel turn, he slipped, and I got by him, and he got so loose he couldn't do anything.
When it's going to be your day, it has to be your day. First, you had a cut tire. Then you had a broken jack about lap 130. You were the last car to get off pit road. Do you think you were ever going to have a shot at winning?
Well, you know, we started in the back there, the last green flag, and we never give up. You know, that's the thing about all the guys. You know, even the guys back at the shop, we continue to race, and we never give up, even from the first part of the year with a broken wrist. We'll just keep on digging.
I guarantee you, 2nd win of the year, the defending champion defends his championship in the AC Sparkplug 500. Bill Elliott takes the win. Bob?
And quickly, a look at the point standings. Earnhardt remains on top. Rusty Wallace now 87 behind. Darrell Waltrip remains third. Bill Elliott moves into fourth position. He's 161 points behind Dale. And then Mark Martin, who is 166 points behind. So a very tight grouping of the Winston Cup point leaders as we begin the second half of the 1989 season.